Do guys retweet the space, reshare the space, and let everybody know we're live. Let me just quickly, actually, I think I did it. Just setting up the YouTube. I just realized I forgot to do it. Well, I did it, but I forgot to just restart it. Okay, cool. So, lots of news, lots of breaking news. Complete opposite of yesterday. It seems like there's a peace deal. A peace deal is within hours. They're saying the deal is very close. Trump was in a telephone conversation with the Gulf states, with Israel. I'll break it all down exactly what's been happening, and we'll get through it. We'll break it down so you know exactly what's going on. But lots of news, huge news, big news. Deal has been almost struck. They're saying it's almost entirely been negotiated. Um, so we'll break it down and we'll go through it. There is a slight disagreement on what the parameters of the deal is. By the way, we have got Professor Morandi coming on tomorrow, so that's going to be good because he might have some inside information on the deal, especially when tomorrow is going to be apparently when the deal is going to be announced. Let me retweet everyone's quote tweets first. Thanks to Kenneth Klein, Siddha, Brent, Jubin, K, Sataj, Mata, Madeline, just all the people who thankfully retweeted this. Who else we got? Inner Art, Zinna, Ian, and Musty. Appreciate everyone who retweeted the space and quote tweeted the space. And if everyone can quote tweet the space, that would be awesome. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. Lots of news. It does seem like the peace deal is close. There's a differences of opinion about what the kind of parameters of the peace deal are, but we'll talk about that during the special. I want to welcome Myron to the stage. Myron, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? It's been a minute. I was on stream and I said, "Oh shit, let me jump on." It's been a while.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. No complaints. I read Trump's True Social post. He got off the phone with pretty much the entire Muslim world, and they're trying to come to some middle ground. But I have two concerns. Number one, um, we're gonna have to make a lot of concessions, as will Iran. And then the second thing is, even if we do make those concessions and kind of figure out some type of temporary ceasefire, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop the Israelis from attacking again. I think at best, Trump can maybe hold off the Israelis for a bit, but to permanently keep them from attacking Iran, I think that's like impossible.
Yeah. I mean, look, the 60-day ceasefire kind of meshes with a couple of the conversations I've been having with people. One is obviously it's Hajj for the Muslims next week,
Yes, good
so they
point.
can't
Yep.
have a war during that time because Saudi make a lot of money on Hajj. A lot of pilgrims go there, and then the second thing is the United States of America is hosting the FIFA World Cup, which is a huge event. It's the biggest event in the world. The final is the most watched, and remember, Trump's really into it. He even received a trophy for them and all that kind of stuff. So this 60 days kind of bridges that entire situation, right?
So do you think it's more of a just simple strategy to buy more time so they don't lose economic opportunity, then attack the war again, or is it going to be?
I mean, initially, we have to look at how the deal goes. But yeah, initially, if I had to guess, I think there's probably going to be a lull for a few months, and then they'll probably go again. How
Yeah,
long exactly? Obviously, we need to sit down and figure out. Once we know what the kind of specifics on this deal are, then we'll have a better idea.
I looked it up. What I saw basically was it would be the beginning of lifting of sanctions with periodic lifting later, unfreezing Iranian money that's been frozen. Uh, what else was it? I think those are the two big ones. Oh, and then they'll enrich at a lower level and bring the IAEA back, And then for the United States, they're agreeing to stop in the blockade, and obviously Iran will stop, open up the strait. So that's kind of what the framework looks like now. Ballistic missiles and proxies aren't really in this one. It seems to be only nuclear enrichment, and the Strait of Hormuz is what they're focusing on from the U.S. side. And the
Well, yeah.
Iranians want sanctions, and at least that's what the framework looks like, what I read. But if I missed anything, please let me know.
Yeah, no, you're right. In the sense of the Iranians will be saying, look, this is the Iranian position is we're not talking about nuclear. Nuclear will be after you demonstrate that you're following the first part of the deal. So the first part is, as you mentioned, remove sanctions, unfreeze assets, open the Strait of Hormuz. There doesn't seem to be any conversation about keeping a toll or a charge in, so that could be a major Iranian concession there. But the rest of it is just complete American concessions. And then the second part of it, which is the nuclear, they're saying, look, that part is only after the first part. But my understanding is they are negotiating. They're saying like Iran is saying they're not negotiating at all. But it does seem like they are, and the conversations are similar to what you're saying in terms of the
Yeah,
3.6% and
yeah, and I think the reason why, like, just from a pragmatic perspective, like, there's really no way to stop a country from like enriching at all. And the Iranians kind of look at it like, hey, dude, like, Israel's not even on NPT. These guys have an illegal nuclear program, but you want us to get rid of ours? What the fuck's, like, that's bullshit. You won't even let us enrich. So, because what I remember was the Israelis want no enrichment. The United States kind of adopted that for a little bit, then realized like you're never going to come to a deal if you don't let the Iranians enrich. So I do think it's probably going to be some middle ground, which obviously would be a big concession for Trump, because that's, you can argue that's one of the reasons that he attacked. But we'll see, man. We'll see. You know, for all I know, they could be setting it up another fucking Pearl Harbor, you know, under a disguise.
true, you can never trust the Israelis. But the if the enrichment is the 3.6, he's basically, if you look at Obama's JCPOA and the current deal, if it is true, this is a worse deal than the Obama deal. This is why, if you look at it, Israeli Twitter is losing its mind. They're like crying so badly, it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's my thing. I think the bottom line here is the Middle East is never going to be the same after this, and I do think that we suffered quite a bit of a reputational hit, because I think one of the things that really fucked us up that nobody really talks too much about is the fact that Iran proved we can't defend our allies, and that, I think that was like a huge fucking strategic blunder that's going to come back to hurt us later.
Well, and I'm skeptical about this, but if what I'm hearing is true, the Middle East is already moving away from the United States of America in terms of as a defense
Agreed.
pact or as a defender. They're moving towards a kind of separation model. And what I mean by that is like
The Muslim
China
NATO, right?
will, sorry?
The Muslim, have you heard about the Muslim NATO they're talking about? Qatar, Saudi, Pakistan, and Turkey.
I mean, I did hear that, but I think it's more. I mean, there could be some merit to that as well, but I doubt it. I mean,
Okay.
but it's possible. I thought it was more, from my understanding, it's more China, Russia, Pakistan. So what's happening is China and Russia are like the financial aspect of it, and then Pakistan will be like the bodyguards, and
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of covers everything America kind of gives you. But then they'll still have relations with the United States of America because they can never do that. So that's one of the arguments that's been made. But if that's the case, like this is just the biggest defeat ever because you've basically lost, as you said, all of your allies. You've strengthened Iran. You remove the sanctions of Iran. You unfreeze the assets, they're much more stronger. In terms of nuclear enriched uranium, they only wanted 3% anyway. So
Yeah.
from American side, it's a complete loss.
Yeah, and it's so fucking retarded, because like all we had to do was just let them keep, enriching with the IAEA there, not be pressured by the Israelis, and we would have been in this situation.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly. You're talking about when you tore up the Obama deal. I mean,
Yeah,
this was the biggest folly. But even if they'd, the biggest mistake they made was going to war. Like they could have
agreed.
actually caused probably problems in Iran if they made some right moves, but they just all the moves they made were wrong.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people, I don't know if you heard this, on February 27th, the day before the war, the negotiator, the guy that was going back between Witkoff and Aragachi, he had basically gotten them to agree to like something very close to the JCPOA, and it had some other perks like no stockpiling, It had like I guess like a longer or better sunset clause. So um, Oman actually had a better deal than the JCPOA a day before, and this guy is smart, the negotiator, because he knew something was off, so he made sure to appear on American television and explain that they had a fantastic framework, which was a lot of progress, and then the next day the United States attacked. So Trump did have a really good deal on hand, but he just fucked it up.
Oh yeah, that deal before. Obviously, we've had discussions about that. I mean, if you listen to what the Omani negotiator said, you can read it one or two ways, but either way, it is either what you said, which is like the 3%, or the other one is they were willing to give up all enrichment. So yeah, February 27th, Trump would have had a much better deal than the JCPOA, and now he's going to have a much, much worse deal. If you look at it from Iran's perspective, from February 27th to now, they've not lost out in any way. If you look at it from, for example, today to tomorrow, then what they're possibly giving up is the only thing you can look at they're possibly giving up is tolling on the strait. And again, we've not got enough information on that, but it does seem like that could be something that they've given up in the deal. But that's it. There's nothing else they've given up because the enriched uranium is a second part, and even with the enriched uranium, I mean, going you could say maybe dropping from 20% to 3% is giving up a bit, but I don't think it's huge because they were always willing to do that.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's like I've always said, like, if you're fighting to get pre-war conditions, you've basically lost the war,
Exactly. Well, you're fighting to
Yeah.
get worse than pre-war conditions because, as you mentioned, the Omanis came out the day before and
Yep.
literally said that. And the reason they did it, I mean, he probably, as you said, he probably smelled the coffee, or they had inside information, the Gulf states, that there was going to be an attack. But either way, he went out quickly to try and say
Yeah.
that publicly in order to stop the attack from occurring, from stopping the war from occurring. But obviously, that didn't make a difference.
And the big giveaway is he purposely went to American TV to do it. That was what I was most interesting, is like he made sure that he appeared on Western media to tell the world what they kind of had in place.
Oh, did he? I didn't remember that. I just remembered him going out. I couldn't remember if it was American media or not.
Yeah, no, he went. That's what tipped me off. I was like, wait, hold on, why is this guy on fucking American media, right? But then I realized, oh, he's doing this to cover his ass and let the American people know, hey, just so you guys know, we did strike a fucking deal, and your president still went to war. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was like
Well,
CBS or some shit he went on, or CBN, something like that.
okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think probably it was less to cover his ass and more to basically stop the war from happening. Because if the world knew that there was a deal, his hope was that Trump wouldn't go to war, but he didn't realize that Israelis control America so much. But just on this deal, what's your thoughts about the Lebanon? That's one of the things I'm looking out for. Is Lebanon part of the deal? I think if it's not, I would be very disappointed in Iran.
Oh, it's got to. I think it. You know what? Now that I think about the deal, I don't think, did it say Lebanon wasn't a part of it from what I read?
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
that's
anything about Lebanon up to
yeah,
now
me
from all the
either.
reports.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, bro. Yeah, they didn't mention Lebanon, man. They
So that's
actually
gonna
didn't.
be that's gonna be interesting to see if Lebanon's part of it. It
Yeah,
may
I
be. And
think
then, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if Lebanon's not a part of it, they're not gonna come to the table.
So they're already. I mean, you mean in the sense of there won't be no final deal then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a final deal. Is what I
Okay.
mean.
We'll have to. Yeah, that's gonna be the interesting thing. I think Iranians themselves won't accept the fact that if Lebanon wasn't in the deal. So if there's like a 60-day negotiated ceasefire, kind of first stage of the deal, and there's no Lebanon in there, that could, if any, that could cause havoc in the country more than anything else, really. Right? Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, cool, cool. I thought it might have clocked out. So yeah, we're just giving some more information and news just while you guys are aware. There is suggestions that they're very, very close to a deal. They're 24 hours away from the deal. And the question mark becomes, what is going to be part of it? What we do know is the Israelis are not happy with the deal. I can see just here now, Emily Schrader, who is essentially the spokesperson of Israel, saying, shame, historic shame. Neo something, whatever that chick's name is, the one who supported the Gaza genocide, is like, this is worse than the JCPOA. People are not happy with this deal whatsoever. Beatrix, did you have a chance to look at the deal?
I haven't. I just saw Trump's post on your wall where he says the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. And I had this massive kind of attack of deja vu several times over because for 85 days, that's all I've been hearing. So I'm waiting now for Iran to confirm what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz because Trump has just repeated that so many times. I mean, technically, it is open, right? Nobody's disputing that. It's about who has control of it. It's about the cost. Is it going to be paid in Bitcoin? Is it going to be shared between only Iran and Oman? These are the things. It's not about, he makes these like blase statements like the Strait of Hormuz will be open. And it's just like, he wants that to look like a win. Technically, they've got a whole procedure implemented. They've got the whole logistics behind it now. They've got a proper website. They've got social media. For the fact that they control, they've got a proper authority set up for that port. So they've done everything now, Iran, to show that it is under their control and their leadership. Now, so technically it's open. Ships are going through. They're paying. They're doing their thing, and they're going through. So I don't know what that means. That's the questionable thing for me, Suleiman. But I will have a look at the detail.
Cool. Cyrus, I just want to welcome Doc as well, and Andy, and Cyrus. Cyrus, I just wanted to bring you in, and the reason I did is because one of the things you said what would happen does seem to be possibly happening, and so obviously credit where credit is due. You held the position that obviously you didn't believe there'd be a deal, but what you did believe is that, or what you did say was that there would be a scenario where the Strait of Hormuz would be open without a charge or a toll. Now we don't know the specifics of that at the moment, but at the moment it does seem like that is the case. What's your thoughts on that?
Hi, Suleiman. Thanks for having me back. Exactly like you said, I've been predicting that this would end.
Hey,
And
real
if
quick, Sully, breaking something. I hate doing that shit. Just came out. End of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. Came 4 minutes ago from rerun. Carry on. My bad.
Brilliant. Okay, so it will be an end of war on all fronts. I don't know how the Israelis gonna abide by that, but that's gonna be interesting.
Myron,
Exactly.
what was the source of that?
Rerun. Basically, here's the details. End of war on all fronts, including Lebanon, freeing several $1 billion of Iran's blocked funds, lifting U.S. naval blockade and opening up the strait, withdrawal of American forces from the immediate vicinity of Iran. After this, parties will have 30 days to agree on a nuclear issue. Iran will commit to not building a nuclear weapon in the MOU, but its enrichment uranium will not be discussed until later. The 30 days can be extended by mutual agreement. During these 30 days, passage will be facilitated through the strait, according to Iran. Yeah, bro, that's a huge concession, dude. Withdrawing from the fucking
that's from Al
region.
Jazeera.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty much what that article said, that's what I was saying several weeks ago. With the exception, I don't think it's going to take 30 days. I predicted the strait being open without any toll system until there is a resolution. My question is, will there be a final deal? You know, that they're saying there's a 30-day runway. There's no way they're going to do that in 30 days. So I think it will probably drag on a few months. And you saw what APAC did with Massey, right? So that was with money. So now they're going to be working behind the scenes to sabotage this deal, and with the neocons and the war hawks working overtime. So this comes to it will be a similar situation as how much influence does APAC have? We saw what they can do with their money. And now this will be a test for their political reach to break up a deal that's mutually beneficial for both Iran and the U.S. Obviously, this is a huge strategic loss for the U.S. It is an embarrassment, but ultimately, it's better than dragging.
I think let me just ask you a question on this, and anyone to the audience as well. For the Lebanon one, and I'm just very much like, look, I'm concerned about Lebanon, and not because I don't think Israel's winning. I think Israel's losing. But the thing with Israel is they can murder people from the sky and mass murder and genocide people, and they don't care about not doing that. But they don't care about stopping from doing that. And so I guess the complication, another Cyrus complication is going to be is if Lebanon is included, what happens if Israel bombs Lebanon? Because they will do that.
They will do that. You're totally right. They will do everything to torpedo this deal. Lebanon for sure will be included. There's no way in the grand deal, right? The one that they claim in 30 days they'll reach. Again, I think this will take several months. In these several
No, but
months,
to be clear, okay, to be clear, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I just want
not at
the
all.
audience, not in case there's
Yes.
not because you're saying misinformation, but like because we're talking in detail, people might
hmm
misconstrue what. Okay,
hmm
so the claim is that during these 30 days, was a 30-day deal essentially, or 30-day pre-deal is probably the better way to say it. During these 30 days, that's when the ending of all the war has to be. That's where the freezing. Unfreezing of the funds has to be withdrawal of the U.S. troops and these type of things. Sorry, God, Cyrus.
Yep. Very
Sorry,
good point.
Cyrus, just before you jump in, I've got some news coming out of FAR's news agency, literally predictable. Iran says Trump's claim about the Strait of Hormuz returning to normal is false. Even if the ship traffic increases again, Iran says it will still fully control the strait, including routes, timing, permits, and passage rules. Iran also says no nuclear commitments were discussed and claims US officials told them that Trump's posts are mainly for domestic media and politics. So Iran's saying that basically they were told by Trump officials that his posts are just for basically what I said.
Well, the
Exactly
problem
what
with
I
it,
said.
but Beatrix, the problem with what that is Dropsite News are saying that they've got a source in Iran who is claiming, and this is from Dropsite News, and everyone loves them, but they are claiming that they have a source within Iran, senior leadership, who's telling them the negotiations of the nuclear has been happening in parallel, but just that it won't be initiated till after the 30 days.
Interesting. Well, this is coming from FAR's news agency. And
That's the Iranian source, and they're usually, on point when it comes to
I
serious
would
issues
trust
like
them.
this.
Yeah, Cyrus. I was just going to say, I would trust them. I mean, a drop site, in my opinion, this is my opinion on some of the other regions' politics that they've covered, because
Fine lines on what that Farce News article said, that they didn't mention tolls, right? This is just a mechanism. It will go through those narrow passageways that Iran has in place,
well,
because
just Al
there is.
Jazeera. Sorry, Cyrus. On that Al Jazeera, what was just mentioned, their bullet points say details of the deal, end of war on all fronts across the Middle East, freeing $7 billion of Iranian money, lifting the U.S. naval blockade, withdrawal of American forces from the immediate vicinity of Iran, Strait of Hormuz to be opened under Iranian Omani management. So it
That
seems
reads in
that.
line with the Farce News, that they're similar. See, because there's no tolling in that, right? The main thing is the money thing. Iran has to show some, a bit of flexibility, and I think that's where they're showing it. So they maintain control of the traffic flow. However, there's no
Well,
there's no money being exchanged.
But how do you know that?
that infers that money is going to be exchanged when you talk about quote unquote permits, right?
Exactly.
It's not a
Not
Exactly what I was going
necessarily.
to
disclaimer.
say, Doc.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Permits is that you're in queue and you go through the protocols. That's not true at all. You're reading too much
No,
into
you,
it.
you, you you need to analyze the exact language and not just necessarily support your prediction about future events. I mean, let's just comment on what that says. It doesn't rule out tolls, does it? And
It doesn't
so
rule. No, no, it doesn't rule out tolls. I'm making my
that's
assessment based on
But
U.S.'s
just let Doc
positions.
finish. Cyrus,
right.
just
But
let
we're
Doc
talking
finish.
about whether or not there's going to be tolls, and it's the language from Al Jazeera and other sources, quoting Iranian sources, is disclaiming that tolls or the fact that they're not going to collect tolls as part of the agreement. Look, there's the inference here of more than just tolls here. There's a way to that Iran has to be compensated for the attack on Iran, right? There's got to be at least money paid for Israel and America for two surprise attacks and the death of
That's the later
Grant
phase. That's
Peter.
part of the big negotiation. This is the
No,
MOU
it's
we're talking
it's
about.
not. They're not gonna agree to a long-lasting deal that doesn't incorporate that, at least
This isn't a long
conceptually at the
lasting deal. This is a
start.
30-day deal. We're talking about a 30-day deal, Doc. We're
No,
talking
this
about
Okay,
this
30
is
Cyrus,
days.
gonna.
Cyrus,
I agree
Cyrus,
with
we
you.
need
This is
to.
gonna go
Cyrus,
on for months
yeah,
and months. What this needs
exactly.
to be, what this needs to be to have a long-lasting effect, at least in America, and what Trump was saying and what Sully was saying was this message from Trump was for American consumption. What this needs to be is a deal, a final deal that Trump can claim as final and needs to be passed as a treaty by Congress. So it can be enforced by law later on, either on Trump or his successors in office. So that's going to take time. It's going to take political support. And you were right when you said that the Zionists, with their political influence and money here in America, will work to defeat in any way that ensures that it goes beyond the power of the commander in chief and the president executive. This is a huge deal. Iran is definitely going to get their control of the straits, which they keep reiterating in this deal. They're going to get that monetized. And one of the ways that both parties now agree it's going to be monetized is a release of sanctions, right? That's money. That's money back to Iran, and to release of funds held for 47 years by America and other countries around the world. So Iran's going to get paid for this, and they should get paid because of the damage suffered by Iran on these illegal attacks by Israel and America.
Great point. Cyrus, I want to bring you in because you were finishing your point. And Cyrus, just before you go as well, I think it's a fair point. We're going to see about the toll. I am more with Doc and Beatrix on that. It does seem like it will be, but we'll see. But in terms of what you're saying, Cyrus, I think it has some merit as well. I don't think it's clear cut either way. But one thing is, though, I think you did say the strait was going to be open completely, but it does seem like Iran is adamant they're going to have control over it. So it's not going to be open. It's because your position was that strait would go back to pre-February 28th, but this is going to be Iranian control. You need to get a permit from them. Now you're saying it won't be charge permit, whatever it may be, but you need to get a permit from them. You need to go through the lanes with them, and if you don't adhere to that, you are not allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, right? Because that's what it means by having that control. But go ahead, Cyrus.
Yes, Suleiman. With the qualification, I said business would be conducted through the Strait of Hormuz and the flow would go back to normal. I knew Iran would not give up control of the actual flow of traffic, right? So that's all, it's in our recorded spaces. I've always been very adamant
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this.
people can check that. Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yes, sir. But that being said, and we're at a point where we're just dealing with public information both sides are saying. So clearly, Doc, my position is based on what I expect the Americans to behave and how they're going to react to the situation. They're not going to agree to a toll, right? So no one has a crystal ball. That's why these spaces are fun. We're breaking news and we're predicting how these great powers will interact and which decisions they'll make. And whether it's going to lead to a resolution or not. And to your point, Doc, I've always maintained the problem with the JCPOA was that it was not a ratified accord. It was just kind of more of a formal handshake and obviously formalized, and there was a lot of mechanisms in it, but it was not ratified in Congress. So I think Iran should certainly push for that, and if the U.S. Administration is serious, they should also push for it. But I don't see this ending so well and going so smoothly. Like you said, Doc, I totally agree. It'll take several months. Right now, they're saying 30 days. I think that's impossible.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the provision actually does say that the both sides have the ability to extend as well. So they already know. They already
Exactly.
know that this is probably not going to be
It's
30 days.
going to be very, very complicated to get everyone back to a point where everyone feels safe, where Iran can feel safe by giving up at least the attempt to build a nuclear weapon. They've for a long time have said they don't want one. So that's not a big give up in the situation that they're going to release some of their enriched uranium or reduce the enrichment levels. That's not a big deal. That was a fatwa by the previous leader, and his son I don't think is going to disclaim that and the legacy his father tried to build for the last 40 or however long he's been there, 40 years. But look, we do agree, and I think we might be the only regular panelists here, Cyrus, that thought this would not escalate into a wider conflict. I always thought that the moves that Trump was making militarily, or the rumored moves he was making militarily, was only for leverage in the negotiations. Now Joe is laughing. I don't know why, but that's been my consistent position all along. And here it is. We're on the footsteps of, well, maybe he's going to pull the rug because it's Saturday, and who knows what happens on Monday. Maybe it's a full-scale attack, but I've never thought that was going to be the case.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what everyone thought. And by the way, I know I'm gonna sound crazy now, but I do think this is temporary. I think that they need to bridge the gap from, as I mentioned, the Hajj season and the World Cup, and then the summer period, because you can't really do anything in Iran. And then I think things will become interesting, maybe towards the midterms or after. But Andy, thanks for joining us. Then we'll go to Joe. Andy, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like they've said, oh, we're almost at a deal so many times, and as I've been saying, I will only believe something when the ink is actually dry and both sides have said, like,
Andy, we can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear
Oh no,
me?
no, I can hear him.
No, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
it.
him.
We can hear
We
him.
can hear
Beatrix.
him.
Okay, yeah. So what I've been saying is like,
Oh, I
yeah,
can't hear you. Oh.
If only it was the other way around, Beatrix.
okay. So what I've been saying the whole time is like we're gonna have. I won't believe there's a deal until the ink is
Oh my
officially.
God, if it comes,
I was saying that you can't. There's not gonna be a deal until the ink is dry, because they've said, "Oh, we're almost at a deal" so many times, and then there hasn't, and then they backed off and said, "Oh, there's not a deal." So until the ink is dry on that paper, I'm not going to believe that there's a deal. It's all just talk. I mean, you already see the way the biggest Zionists are reacting. They have no interest in a deal. Like Lindsey Graham, who's at this point the official Trump's administration spokesperson, is saying like this would be horrible. We haven't done enough to degrade Iran yet. They still have the ability to control the strait and threaten it with missiles, but I think we can do more militarily to stop their control, which no, there's nothing you can do militarily to stop their control over the strait. You already tried that for 39 days and you got your ass handed to you. So like this kind of reminds me a bit of last time where after there was the ceasefire in early April, you had all of the Zionists crash out and say, "We didn't," in Israel. Remember, you had all those Israeli influencers saying, "We didn't hide in a bunker for 40 days just for this deal that doesn't deal with Iran's nukes or ballistic missiles. What was this all for?" So I really feel like this is not confirmed until they actually confirm it. But I mean, maybe but let's say the strait remains partially closed, maybe more countries will pay tolls, but some won't. I mean, that will maybe somewhat release the oil valve, but I mean, it could honestly just be a frozen conflict. But if they want to wait for cooler weather, what are they going to do? Are they going to wait till September or October? I mean, I can't see Trump bombing Iran right before the midterms. That would be the last thing. So then what? Is he going to wait until after the midterms and be like, well, I already lost the midterms, so I don't have to worry about my political future so about that anymore, and then go
Hmm.
back to bombing in like November of 2026? Like, I mean, because part of the deal is Iran wants the assets out. Iran's not going to open up the strait and allow stuff through and agree to anything on nuclear if U.S. carriers are still sitting in the region and 14 destroyers are sitting in the region and hundreds of aircraft and refueling tankers and all of these missiles. They're not going to accept anything and just allow the U.S. to basically sit parked there for 6 months. There's no way.
Yeah, yeah. And I just read what Beatrix was saying actually. She's saying that a US official, I didn't miss that bit, a US official told Fars that ignore what our own president says. That's only for public and that's only for public and domestic consumption. Well, like that's just to keep my base happy because they be dumb. But in reality, what we're telling you in the agreement is the real agreement. This is crazy. It's hilarious. I missed that, Beatrix, when he said it, the bit where he said the US official said it. I thought it was just like Fars and you saying it. It's hilarious. Hilarious to say the least. But the deal is in huge. It does seem like total capitulation by the United. Like the few question marks I had about the deal, they're already been kind of confirmed in the sense of I had question marks like, okay, I don't really like this part of the deal. And look, I'm now you noticed I'm very genuine. I'm not like, oh, guess what? Everything Iran does, I agree with. I had a couple of question marks, but immediately those question marks have been answered. This is total capitulation by the US. Um,
Suleiman, I was going to comment on the Lebanon piece. We never got
One
to finish.
second, one
Mhm.
one second. Let me
Sure.
just. I'll come back in on that one. I just wanna.
Sure thing.
Let me just, if that's right. I'm not ignoring you. We're definitely going to talk about all these things. So, onto this details of the U.S.-Iran agreement. I'm just going to repeat again before I get my boy Joe in. End of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. The question marks are going to become: is Lebanon gonna be is how are they gonna ensure the Lebanon part is included? Remember my interview with Hezbollah's very own lawyer, who said that there's a ways you can put money in escrow and various other things. Well, Iran needs to put that in place because, yeah, that's that because Israel's gonna bomb. There's a super chat here which says Beatrix trying to hijack the deal by claiming death. By claiming what death? I don't get it. But I agree, she's trying to hijack it. Beatrix, it's your favorite
oh my
person.
God, who's that? Let me check who
Gumba. He's exposing you.
is it. One of Is it one of my is it one of my trolls?
I wouldn't call him a
God,
troll.
what is
I
it
would
with
call
these
him a
guys?
purveyor of truth. But yeah, I know how you have your truth social version of how you want to talk about these truth speakers. But the second point is unfreezing several $billion of Iran's funds, lifting the US blockade and opening the strait, withdrawing of American forces from the immediate vicinity of Iran. Parties will have 30 days to agree on the nuclear issue. Iran will commit to not building a nuclear weapon in the MOU, but its enrichment and uranium will not be discussed until later. 30 days can be extended by mutual agreement. During these 30 days, passage will be facilitated through the Strait, meaning facilitated through Iran. And according to Iran, management of the Strait of Hormuz will be an Iranian Omani issue and is being negotiated with Muscat. So that's the latest on the deal. Joe, hope you're doing well. What's your thoughts on the deal?
Yeah. Look, Doc, I wasn't laughing at what you're saying. I was laughing because you said you two were the only ones. You definitely said no strikes. I said decapitation strike. We both said nothing would go further. Cyrus says everything from here to the moon. He bounces it around like crazy. So, the one thing that did happen was the fact that we're staying there. We're not leaving, as was predicted by some people in this panel. It is not going to be over in a few weeks. I have a feeling this is probably for the World Cup, because it is billions and billions in investment in order
Well,
to.
everybody, even what you're telling me, Joe,
Mhm.
even Trump is ceding to Cristiano Ronaldo Sui and is literally saying we need to watch this guy win the World Cup and then we'll go back to war.
You know what it is, Salman? It is a huge, huge, huge investment for any country, okay, to host FIFA, right? Typically, it is something that pays off after 5 years. Like that's how big of an investment it is, and the whole goal is to like help your image on the world stage, right? If there's a war going on, an active war, that's going to take away from the headlines. But that's not what America needs. What America needs is to show, and I'm not surprised they're doing it with Canada and Mexico. Kind of plays into the whole thing about the Western Hemisphere becoming the new energy corridor. And by the way, China just signed a huge multi-year deal, which someone yesterday also said that's never going to happen. They signed a multi-year deal with Argentina to get LNG, and they start shipping at the end of this year.
But I thought you said you wanted to come to the United States. I said
I
no
didn't.
deals with the U.S. at elevated prices, Joe. It looks like you haven't taken enough beatings since yesterday.
Did I
You know,
interrupt you even once?
no, I mean,
Why
you
are you
keep
so
bringing my
insecure?
name up. You
I
keep
didn't.
bringing
I
my
didn't.
name up.
I didn't mention you once.
You must
It's
have
just you're
you must have
insecure. It's
short term.
just.
You must
It's
have short
just.
term memories issues. You
It.
literally named me
It's.
twice.
I didn't
You
say.
literally named me twice in the last 1 minute. What is wrong with you, dude? You don't remember?
I literally
Girls,
didn't even
girls,
say your
girls.
name.
No more chick
You,
fights on the space. Come on, let's go.
no chick
Yeah,
fights.
it's ridiculous.
Grant handed his ass to him
So,
yesterday, and so did I.
Oh my God,
You're
Grant.
how are you
incredulous, Joe.
blaming chicks for this
Yeah.
behavior, Doc?
Joe,
Don't
Like,
you're
call him. Don't
incredulous.
call
seriously,
him
spare
chicks.
us.
Hey, call him Cyrus. I'm not the one that interrupted him. I stayed silent like an actual adult
Doc
instead of
said, let's
a
not have
little
this chick
teenager.
behavior.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And Grant didn't hand shit, especially when the actual head of OPEC came
Okay,
out.
but he's
Hold
not
on.
here. So
When
Cyrus,
the
hang on
head
1 second,
when the
Joe.
head of OPEC
Cyrus,
come,
don't mention him. No, wait, Joe, up 1 second. Don't mention him, please. He's not here. Joe, I want you to finish your point
yes.
because I was
The
listening.
head of OPEC, Haitham I'm going to butcher his name, Al Gais, today said if the internet cables are cut, it will cause major panic and volatility in the oil market for at least a month. At least a month. There are backup systems, but they
So
cannot
Joe,
trade
what was
real
the
time.
Joe? What was the point about the backup for a month?
the
Could you
the
be?
the oil prices will go crazy volatile because there won't be no real-time information coming from the Middle East
Oh, you talking
on
about that? Okay.
production,
Yeah. Okay.
shipping. They won't know what ships are coming in and out, right? Like right now, there's a ton of Qatari ships. There's another ship that came through today, supposedly from Qatar. Right. So Qatar is making deals with Iran. Ships are going through, and apparently they didn't have to pay. They did it as a good faith measure for Pakistan, for LNG going to Pakistan. Um, So there's a lot of
May
movement.
I add, Joa? Joa, may I add one thing? Thank you, honey. Suleiman B, hi. I just want to add one thing because Suleiman mentioned all those items supposedly in the peace deal. And since you're talking about Hormuz, what I heard on the end of it was that the Hormuz deal was going to happen if it went back to pre-war conditions, that Iran would be the official quote controller, perhaps with another country partnering over the straits, but that the deal would be before the war, that Hormuz would be treated as an entity for passage before the war.
But
Those
but
conditions.
Iran wasn't controlling the Strait of Hormuz before the war.
No, no, it would be the in terms of monetarily and letting ships come and go. But Iran would be, Iran's not going to give up Hormuz.
Yeah.
And so the best thing the United States could get, I heard this military guy say, was to work with Iran and try and get the deals for the for the ships passing through for the various countries, including US, to have the deal happen financially. Okay, the tariffs and all that happen before the deal, before the war started, so that it would go back to that
Okay.
freedom of
But
passage.
no problem.
But
I just want to let
here's
Joe finish his
yeah.
point, and then
Here
we'll.
here's the thing: is you need to look at what.
Why does everyone bully Joe? Joe's speaking,
Yeah,
guys. Let the
I don't
guy finish his point.
I don't
Go ahead,
care.
finish, Joe.
Thank you, Joa.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, Miss Lou.
Oh, cool. Go ahead.
Look, the we have to think of what happened from before this took place and what it seems like is going to take place now. There's no way, okay? I firmly believe there is absolutely no way that America is not taking advantage of this somehow, right? And that's why I think it's the whole LNG thing. Because we're giving a worse, they're getting a worse deal. Well, America's getting a worse deal than they did under Obama with them. So what did they win on? What was the purpose of going there?
They didn't
Nothing.
win, bro. They lost.
I
They
know,
lost on
but
everything.
Solomon, nothing happened. The only thing that happened that was probably unforeseen was the decapitation strike. Them closing the strait, that's foreseeable. Them hitting the bases in the Middle East, that was foreseeable. Them hitting the LNG and oil refineries in other countries, that was foreseeable. All those things they had to know before they went there were going to happen. So what did they say to them? Like, because you have to do like a here's the benefit, here's the negative, right? And then decide like we're going to be able to do this, but we're going to lose this, and this winds up being better for us, right? There has to be that because did nothing happen that was unpredictable, right? Think about it. Like zero happened that we were like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. Do you know what I mean?
So you mean in the sense of from no, but that's because they didn't. Because according to your own position, right, Joa, your own position was, which was that the original plan was a
To choke,
decapitation strike.
well, to choke them off
Yeah.
for decapitation, right? I thought,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Don't. I'm not attacking
I'm
you,
not
bro.
attacking you either. I was just
Yeah,
helping you out.
That was and if that's the case that it was a decapitation strike,
Hmm.
then in their minds those other things weren't even considered in the sense of they would have been considered like we go to war with Iran, X will happen. We do this with Iran, Y will happen. But if we do a decapitation strike, a la Maduro, look, we'll be in for 4 days, we'll be out, and that's where if you believe that decapitation strike was real and it wasn't like a facade, then it is that all of these results of them losing so badly, losing all their bases in the Middle East, losing so badly to Iran, completely losing, running out of artillery and various other things. Then those happened because that wasn't part of the plan. The plan was just this 4 day kind of strike window and then get out.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. The problem is you would still have to calculate for, like, I think there was an assumption, or at least they were sold a bill of goods that if you do this, just like Netanyahu did about Iraq, if you do this, then if you strike Iraq, peace is going to spread out through the entire Middle East. Remember that line that's very famous from Netanyahu?
Yeah, he will have said that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
would have said, if you do this, if you strike, if you decapitate the IRGC, then the people will rise up and take over the government. Even if they did that, even if that happened, you're still talking about months of fighting because the military is decentralized, right? This is not a normal military. Like, how do you take down a government that's decentralized?
Well,
That's why I
this
always
is
laugh
if
when people are like, "We need to go after Antifa." Antifa's decentralized. Like, what are you gonna? You're not gonna take out Antifa.
so. What you're saying is a very valid point. Just to steelman the American position, I presume. Well, it's not steelman. It's a horrible decision, but I presume what they were sold by Netanyahu was that look, you take out Ayatollah Khamenei, there is X replacement, and I do believe they probably would have had like Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela. They would have had a replacement possibly thought about. Now, people say it's Ahmadinejad, which is possible. It could have been him, it could have been someone else. But someone to just plug in to be ready, and maybe they didn't even have communication with that person, whomever it is. But when that didn't happen, when things happened totally different, and there was an actual real plan put in place by Iran about who was going to be the leader and the leadership, and it just went to the sun, and
I,
they basically circumvented all of that. That's when the flop happened, right?
I think it should have been the Pahlavi's wife's personal trainer. He should have taken over.
Well, he is the he is the daddy of a Pahlavi,
He's
so
his daddy, so
he is his daddy. He
um,
is his.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of hard to believe. I don't know if anyone on this stage, even the people I don't think do good analysis, would think that that's even possible, right? I don't
No,
think.
I agree with you, but if you, because your initial, I'm trying to say, like, in your initial, because if your initial position is a decapitation strike, then they weren't expecting all of this to occur in the manner it did. Now, maybe they would have expected something smaller, but they weren't expecting in the manner. And I think that, this decentralized aspect of Iran, like people spoke about it, but they never ever saw it in fruition. And so it's like talking about something without ever experiencing it. So when they've experienced how decentralized it is, now it's like a totally different method. I think they actually believe that, look, logically speaking, yes, it's decentralized, but information does get there because they need to know. Sorry.
So,
So for example, let's say something decentralized, like let's say everyone on this panel is in 10 different locations and they're going to carry out whatever it may be, but whatever it may be, they need to know somehow that, look, we're going to strike, if X happens, then we're going to strike, or if Y happens, we're going to make a deal. And so there is some form of overarching control, even if there is decentralization. And I think that they probably thought the overarching control will be something that you can control or commandeer.
yeah, look, I don't like to. Um, I don't know how to word it. Devalue the intelligence of my enemy. Let's say, right? So, um, and America is not my enemy, but a lot of people assume, oh, they're just stupid. Why would they do this? It's stupid. I just think a lot of stuff is obfuscated, so it looks stupid, but they're getting something from it. Like example, that day when Operation Freedom was announced, and they were going to escort ships through the Hormuz Strait. And how long was it? Within a half hour, I'm like, oh, this is how they win. They attack the merchant ship, they avoid the American ship, and then those ships follow through, right? And then you wrote me and you're like, yo, Joey, you were right. That's exactly what they did.
But
And
Joe, didn't you say
and
they were parked in
oh,
front of Dubai? You said three destroyers got through and they parked right in front of Dubai. That's what you said. You
I
you also
don't know what
said
you're talking
they
about.
you also said
Do
the
you
Strait of
always have to
Hormuz was closed
interrupt?
on
Do you really
purpose.
think you're that
No, I'm
important that
correcting you because you're
you
flip flopping, Joe. I'm keeping you accurate, right?
I'm
You said three
flip-flopping?
ships.
I
You
have
said three ships.
Jesus
You said
Christ.
three ships parked in front of Dubai, and also you said the Strait
I
of
think
Hormuz
you
was
have a
closed on
hearing
purpose,
problem,
so
Cyrus.
the oil
Please,
companies make
please.
money. I'm just
We
keeping
need
you
to get.
true to your
Can
words.
Do we have to get Carl? Do we have to get Carl here
yeah, it
to get you guys to answer
We don't need
it's
calmly?
Carl. I'm just keeping
ridiculous.
him. I'm keeping him accurate. He said three U.S.
Solomon, did I
destroyers
talk about three
crossed the Strait of
destroyers?
Hormuz.
Okay, guys, can we have a conversation without screaming at each other? I thought it was a really good conversation. Cyrus,
Yeah,
I am going to bring you in as
I
well.
was talking about a
Please go
merchant
ahead.
ship, and someone wants to bring in the destroyers, which is relevant, but has nothing to do with what we're actually talking about right now. So I don't know why you're bringing it in. It's just poor
So
analysis.
what I
But
don't
here's
remember, I don't remember specifically what you
it's
said on that
about
day,
the
but
ships
what I
that
do
tried to
remember,
cross the
one,
strait, which has nothing to
No, you
do.
said they did cross the strait. You said three destroyers got
Oh,
through and they
gee,
parked right in front of Dubai. And I said, why didn't
Cyrus,
they take
what does
pictures?
this have to do with what we're
And
talking about
also,
right now?
I'll tell you what it has to do. And you also said
No,
they
don't
closed the
tell me.
Strait of
Please
Hormuz to
shut
make
up.
money.
okay, Cyrus, you're really impacting the quality of the space. Like I like you because there's discussions, but sometimes you get a bit too like, you feel like you have to just talk 24/7, and it really does kill the quality. this is like an academic space, right? Like there is drama in other spaces, but I don't like drama. I like academic discussion. I like the fact that you disagree with him. I like the fact that we say, oh, guess what, Cyrus? You said X, but Y happened, and then we can have that discussion. But that being said, just let him finish his point. I will come to you. You can then make your point. Just I want like the spaces. These spaces are like intellectual, not these like
Yeah.
drama. So,
Thank
Joe,
you,
in terms
Salman.
of
What
what
the point I wanted to
Jared,
make,
just
so I
one
can bring
second,
it, I can close it.
Jared.
Yeah.
1 second, Jared, just before you go. So what I remember of that day is, I don't remember about the 3 destroyers is possible, but what I do remember is Joe did have that point that, look, the smart thing would be to attack the merchant vessels, and I was like, yeah, good point, and they did that. But go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, and the whole point of this conversation, which has nothing to do with what was just brought up, is the fact that I look at it and I'm like, couldn't it really be that stupid that me, who's not, does not consider himself a geopolitical expert, don't claim to be, don't have it in my bio, none of that, within 15, 20 minutes, come up with exactly what's going
Why
to
are you attacking
happen,
me, Joe?
right? I'm not you, not you. You actually, like, you dedicate your life to this. There's a difference. I don't. That's why I refuse to call myself that. I just a guy with an opinion that works on strategy for companies, and
I'm joking,
yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
So, but what did happen afterwards? I'm like, can America really be this stupid that they think this would work? And that would be dumb of me to assume that my enemy's not smart enough to see what I see when I'm not dedicating all my time to it. So then I go and look, and what happened? Insurance rates almost doubled for all the ships. So less ships, ships that were thinking of, more than likely, this is an assumption, ships that were thinking about paying the $2 million to go through, now we're not going to pay because their insurance premium would be twice the price, because insurance for ships right after that happened doubled. So is it because America didn't want ships to go through and they didn't want them to pay Iran, or what's going on? I'm trying to find what's under the covers that we're not seeing and being obfuscated from us. And I'm not looking at what's shown to us, because what's shown to us is just theater. And that's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's fair enough, Joe. So just on what you're saying, look, at the end of the day, it is the Strait of Hormuz was controlled by Iran. Iran was letting those ships out. No, because of the American blockade, there was issues where a lot of vessels couldn't go through. So you're right about that. But when it comes to vessels for allies of Iran, many vessels were going out. Like I didn't check the most recent, but if I had to guess, it's probably like 400-500 vessels have probably come out from the Strait of Hormuz since the blockade. Because when I checked very early on, it was already 250 vessels. So a lot of vessels have gone out. So I don't think that's what's caused it. And now that the strait is going to open for possibly a couple of months, this could be a way of Trump kind of maybe it might be one or two things. Trump trying to normalize it to his public to say, look, like, you know what, it's not that bad. Or it could be for the Gulf states to test out how it actually is, and maybe for them to see, like, if they don't mind it, then fine. And if it is a problem, then there'll be like more drama about it later. There could be a few different reasons why he may be doing this as well from his own perspective. But the fact that he's going to allow Iran to have control over it, they're going to pull out. Now there's not as much of that energy benefit that you were talking about, right? Because one of your points was that because you believe that this was some kind of energy war, that actually if the escalation was to occur, then they would strike energy places, right? But now it's going to be actually 2 months of like almost not normality, but kind of like not the new normal is probably a kind of a direction towards the new normal.
Yeah, look, though, from my calculations, 20% of the global LNG is gone right now, right? And it's coming from that region. So it's not just 20% of Qatar's, it's 20% of the global LNG supply has been taken offline, right? That makes America
So breaking news. Just get
yep.
some breaking news, and I'll give it back to you. So some news. It's Iran's foreign minister tweeted out an image of basically the Roman conquest of Iran, or the Roman battle with Iran. And yeah, he's trying to make some kind of parallels about the end of that. So that's an interesting notion, to say the least. But sorry, Joe, go ahead. That was just me being nutty.
Yeah, they took out 20% of the global LNG supply. America, anyone who looks at the chart, I think I have it in my timeline, but I can post it in your comments as well. There's no way you see, 160x in production in 10 years. That's unheard of in any country. That's not.
Breaking news. So, the New York Times is, so this is from the New York Times now. Wow, this is just a talk. Okay, but there's okay. So the New York Times is saying that the memorandum of agreement is going to have stop fighting on all fronts, including Lebanon, reopening the Strait of Hormuz. They don't get into specifics of it. Lifting of the U.S. naval blockade, allow free commercial traffic. Release $25 billion in frozen Iranian assets, and negotiate no nuclear issue within 30 to 60 days. But sorry, back to Joe.
Yeah, I think we should debate that, but I'll just close that up. The U.S. has increased LNG production like something we've never seen in history. I don't think that's by accident. I don't think taking out Nord Stream is by accident. I don't think this attack in Qatar is by accident. I think it's all to give U.S. power, and LNG will be the predominant energy until 2050. Before more things go online. That is a what do you call it? Nuclear, solar, or wind. Until then, it's going to be LNG, and American dollar has been based on oil, but oil is not going to be as prevalent in the Western world in the next coming 1, 2, 3 decades. So I do think it's
Suleiman, may I reply?
a move.
Yeah, Kosh, go ahead, Cyrus.
Thank you. So the reason with that argument is that the United States is not going to engage in a hot war where 4 bases are completely destroyed, their 5th fleet. We've spent hundreds of billions setting up these installations for Qatar to get hit, just so NLG production will go up in the United States for a short time, right? With the eventuality that Qatar will bring back their production online, whenever that may be. So this notion is just, it's not grounded in reality. It's not a serious argument. That's why I was pushing back. You say I'm all over the place, Joe. I've been very clear in my predictions. 3 days into the war, and I just recently posted it on Colonel McGregor's page. When he was saying this war will go on for a year or more, I said, hey, I think it's actually going to end in 6 to 8 weeks. I was on the dot, and when the ceasefire happened, I said by the 3rd week of May, they're going to take an off ramp and the strait will open. The blockade will be lifted. I was on point again. So, and I don't call myself an expert, Joe. I'm an analyst, and my predictions have been most accurate on this space. It's recorded. You did say that 3 U.S. destroyers were passed and they were parked in front of Dubai, where I came back and said, hey, where are the pictures? The U.S. would have used that as a propaganda tool to say, hey, look, we're parked in front of Dubai. We got through the Strait of Hormuz, where in fact they got close, they got fired at, and they turned around. So your information is constantly false, and you get caught and you get mad while people call you out. I mean, Grant yesterday, rightfully so, and so did I.
He's not here, Cyrus. Do not name him. He is not here. Cyrus,
yes.
You're like a chick who never forgets what somebody said in the past.
It was
Literally,
last night. It was
well,
just a
you're paying more attention to Jonah than you're letting on then, because I don't remember
I
that.
paid attention to all the conversations. Yeah. So
So
essentially, you were saying that if the fiber optic cables are cut, all the oil trade desks are in the Middle East and the world will shut down. We corrected you. Said no.
no, he didn't say that. He didn't say all the
the
oil
ma-
trade.
the
He
main
didn't say
desk
all the
shut
other
down.
things either. He just misquotes
the main
me
desks
constantly.
are in London and Houston, and the world would continue. They have redundancy.
He said the trading floor.
It's actually in Switzerland, but okay.
It's in
Whatever.
Switzerland, Houston, London. Those are the
Cyrus,
main
he
ones.
said the trading floor is in the Middle East. That's what he said.
Yeah, and it's not.
And you,
It's the trading floors are
well,
not.
okay.
The biggest ones are in Houston and London, and Switzerland is the secondary.
Those are trading
Those are the
desks.
desks.
Those are different.
But okay,
Yeah, those are
you
the
know
main.
what?
That all of the world's the Brent is done through.
Yesterday was the 22nd of May. It was a Friday. Let's wrap up. In fact, that conversation was a long one, but let's leave that there and let's focus on this now. So I have a question for you, Cyrus.
Can I add
right?
something though? Because only
Yeah.
because of the currency. I'm
Yeah,
not
Jonah,
even
go
going to
ahead.
attack because I think it's pointless. People have heard the thing. They can decide who's been more right or wrong. I don't even care, to be honest. LNG from America currently is making $150 million a day. Okay. I don't think they care about $100 million base when they're recovering that a day. Right. You have to look at the other side to be a good analyst. And by the way, you do have in your profile that you're a geopolitical analyst, right?
You said expert. I said I'm an analyst. I just said I'm an analyst, not an expert. You have selective hearing. I literally said I'm an analyst, not an expert.
Though. You ship groceries. What does your daily life help you to be a geopolitical analyst?
I don't know where you got. First of all, it's so funny in our comments. You look down on people to ship
I
groceries.
want that guy Carl to
Joe
come
made out of
up.
his
I want
way.
that
I
guy
don't.
Carl to come
Okay,
up.
I'm just gonna move away from this conversation. I feel like it becomes too like it's just really harmful. Like I don't really care what happened yesterday. I don't care about this great gay trading test. I'm not bothered about it, right? I want to talk about the deal. I want to talk about the aspects. Yes, Cyrus, you did say that you believed that there would be the Strait would open within the second or third week, and I think you've been right about that, and that's fine. Brilliant, well done. But guys, come on, this is getting way childish. Like, come on, this is ridiculous.
I agree.
Can we get back into the actual geopolitical aspect of it, the geopolitics that's happening, the specifics of the deal, and the specifics of the implications of the different aspects of the deal? So, coming to
Let's talk about Lebanon. I never got to discuss that
well,
with
we'll
you,
come to that in
Suleiman.
a second, Cyrus. 1 second. I just want to bring a few more other people into the conversation as well. So I mentioned the New York Times. I just saw some more breaking news. You see, 1 second. Oh God. Okay, so this is the New York Times, as I mentioned. They are claiming that, as I mentioned, let me repeat it, that there's going to be a halt to all halt to fighting on all fronts, including Lebanon, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, lifting the US naval blockade, allowing free commercial traffic. This is going to be really important, whether to see if it's free or not. Releasing $25 billion in frozen assets and negotiate nuclear issues within 30 to 60 days. I mean, this is just crazy. This is like a total and utter Iranian victory. This is like but I think, you know what, I did say this after the Massey win, that I think that gave him, I said one or two things. Either what he learned from that without a doubt is that his base will be happy with whatever he does. He's not going to lose credibility with them no matter what. They will still value him, appreciate him, and think of him as brilliant.
But yeah,
And
they're all
so
posting W, Solomon. Have you seen the
yeah, so
comments? They're all like W. Trump is the best. Like it's
yeah. I think the Massey deal gave him the impetus for that, and so I thought there's one of two things that could happen from the Massey, not the Massey deal, but the fact that he beat Massey. One is that he would think my base. Well, he'll definitely know that his base is going to support him no matter what. But then that support can either be used as a going to war with Iran, or it could be used as a raising the white flag and capitulating. And I think he's thought, let me go for the white flag and capitulate. And he knows his base is going to support him, which is good. Like, we don't look. If this is a permanent thing, then I think it's a golden thing. I just have question marks about the permanency of this. But yeah, this is interesting. Let's go to Miss.
Let me just, I just want to read something out, Suleiman. Al Mayadeen is reporting that the deal between Iran and America includes the withdrawal of the US Navy from the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and the Arabian Sea, and then obviously the release of more than 12 billion worth of Iranian assets. So I just wanted to say that that's the extent that Al Mayadeen is saying that the American Navy is going to withdraw. So yeah, sorry, back to you.
Yeah. I'm from. Yeah. Exactly. The Navy is gonna withdraw. Was there anything else they added though? Is there anything unique from what the others said?
No, I mean, the only thing that I see as a variation is how much frozen assets are going to be released. Some people are saying, Al Mayadeen saying 12 billion, New York Times is saying 25 billion. I've seen a higher figure somewhere else. Al Mayadeen earlier said 6 billion, and they've now updated that. So that's the only thing I've seen fluctuate. I think there's obviously the understanding about the Strait of Hormuz, exactly what that
Petrus, do you know
entails.
how much they have blocked? What is the total?
No.
Because that doesn't seem like a lot for a country the size of Iran. It doesn't get a whole lot done.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I don't know what the total amount of frozen assets they've got is. I'll look it up.
Hey, Beatrice, also, what is the deal about the nuclear? Do we have details on what the nuclear agreement's going to be?
Still undetermined.
Okay.
Yeah, so Miss Lou, what this is a memorandum of understanding, right? So this is not the deal. This is basically saying we understand that these are the things we'll do now. And then we're going to give ourselves 30 days to work towards a deal. And in those 30 days, we will talk about the nuclear stuff and other stuff. They've got an agenda for the 30 days. And then that 30-day deadline, it's not a deadline because as long as both parties agree, so if America and Iran say, actually, we need another 30 days, or we're going to extend it by another 2 months because we need more time to discuss these aspects, they can extend it. And this is why Suleiman was saying earlier that, you know, this could go on for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And that's when the nuclear stuff's going to be discussed. This is just, you know, both sides are kind of giving a little bit, give and take, so that they get an understanding. But the thing here is the Strait of Hormuz, because you've seen Trump's tweet saying it's going to be opened, and Iran saying, sure, but we're still going to control it. Nobody specifically mentioned the money, but Iran did say, or foreign news agency said that Iran says it's going to be their rules, their procedures, their protocols, you know, that's going to operate on the Strait of Hormuz. So it's not just going to be open like it was pre the war. It's going to be under their control. Now, the rules, procedures, and stuff could entail money. Trump, I don't know if that's his understanding or not. So I think we're going to see more come out of this, Miss Lou. But it's just a memorandum of understanding. It's like a framework, you know?
Thank you, B.
Some more information, guys. Obviously, the info is coming thick and fast. One thing I'm noticing, I agree with Joe. Like MAGA is losing. MAGA, like total W, the peace president. So much peace, so much winning. Love it. And then the Iranians and the Israelis are losing their mind. They're like, oh my God, Trump lost. This deal is worse than the JCPOA. Trump is let us down. The IRG, he's working with the IRGC. This is what
So,
Said Ghassamanjad said, and he is a well-known Pahlavi guy with a huge following, and he said the IRGC did not abide by the current ceasefire, and now, as a reward, it may receive money and sanctions relief. It would be and should be deeply humiliating for Washington, and it turns out it can't even reopen the Strait of Hormuz through the use of force, despite spending nearly $1 trillion a year on defense, and has to bribe the mullahs who have neither a navy nor an air force. Hilarious. The best one is Neo Berg, the Iranian pro-Israel Zionist. She has been losing her mind. I mean, she's saying American soldiers and tens of thousands of Iranians didn't sacrifice their lives for Trump to sign a JCPOA 2.0. And then she wrote, this is a defeat, not for the Islamic regime, but for the United States of America. This deal will look identical to what the mullahs demanded back in January, and his promise to the people of Iran, help is on the way, has been forgotten. Absolute madness. And then she's quote tweeted, bros, this chick's not happy. The Islamic regime will now boldly and confidently become a regional superpower. So true.
hey,
And this is
Salman, breaking news: shots fired at the White House. 20 to
actually
30 gunshots fired outside the White House. Reporters on the north lawn told to run inside.
wow.
Do you think
Where's it
it's
got
do you
that?
think it's do you think it's the girl that you just talked about?
No, I don't want to get sued. She is part of the Zionist Israelis in Britain, and they have a lot of let's put it this way, legal ability to take people out. So wait a second. Okay, I can see it. Yeah. Breatrix, do you want to change the title?
By the way, Salman,
Yeah.
they're organizing on X, on Twitter, on Reddit, on Telegram, organizing, posting on his thread to say, "Sir, this would be an absolute catastrophic loss for you if you were to make a deal with Iran." They're like organizing to like go all together and get more people, and how to use bots and how to use multiple accounts to comment on his post right now. I've been listening to it all afternoon, like for a while now.
This is crazy. This is crazy. I mean,
So there's the
so
sabotage, right? They're sabotaging the
breaking
deal.
news, breaking news, breaking news. As Joe said, I've just confirmed it. a huge number of shots fired at the White House. Shots fired at the White House. Breaking news that is huge. We're obviously going to give you the news as and when we receive it, but there has been approximately 20 to 30 shots fired at the White House. We have an image of the shooter. Well, we've got images of gunners on the White House roof right now. I'm just going to post that as well.
They better get that bunker going. I mean,
What is this?
they better get the ballroom with the bunker going. I mean, I'm listening to this news, and it's like I don't know how we just continue to be played. Look at what they post. Like either there is a negotiations that have been settled, or there's not. But this largely settled, maybe, definitely, positively, there's a good chance of something maybe happening from there in 30 days. It's the same rhetoric over and over again. I mean, they're talking about largely negotiated, but largely negotiating meaning they haven't determined anything about the nuclear weapons. They haven't determined anything about the Strait of Hormuz. You're getting totally conflicting points of view on what's supposed to be happening with that. And this is 30 to 60 days out. I mean, again, it just seems more of the same. And it's funny because I listen to different media outlets, and it just seems like everyone's just exhausted with this, because everything Trump says is most typically a lie. And no different with this post here. We want to believe it when we see it, and it's almost like we forget that everything that comes out of this man's mouth is a lie. So we start to dissect and try to interpret what he's saying. But when you really take it just for face value, that every time he's posted something like this, it typically turns out to be a lie. What is there to negotiate? We know the things, we know the key sticking points. Everything else is really, insignificant compared to the big things like the Strait and nuclear weapons and this and that. We don't really know the real reason why they went in to begin with. But, it just seems like more of the same, and more of the, gas prices are going to stay high. So just be sure you realize that.
Oh, okay, interesting. On that one, Joel, would the gas prices stay high though? Because if the Strait opens over these basically 30 to 60
But,
days,
but no,
would they not drop?
yes, but I don't see anywhere where it says it's going to open. That's why when you said that comment was right, I'm like, let's wait and see, because I haven't seen anywhere that says that they have agreed to have it open.
No, what do you mean by have it open?
Like actually have it open. Like I don't see that happening at all.
Al Jazeera is just stating
just on
far.
that one. So the report is that the Strait is going to open, Joa. The Americans are going to remove the blockade. The Strait is going to open. Iran's going to put the new procedure in place. You're going to have to get a permit from Iran. You're going to have to follow their pathway. Iran and Oman are going to create like some kind of overarching facilitation of the Strait of Hormuz. And the only question mark we have about that is whether that's going to be paid or not.
Well, I don't know if that's the only question. My bigger question is, are the vessels that are still work with the Zionist entity or with the West going to be allowed to be through? Because that was part of the deal before, right?
That's a good point. You mean so remember the original memorandum was everyone's allowed through the Strait. The UAE and Bahrain have to pay more, and the Israelis and Americans weren't allowed through. So I guess your question is, will the Israelis and Americans be allowed through? Is your question, right?
Right. I don't see that being 100% lifted until the nuclear thing is
That makes
done.
sense.
And
I wouldn't. I
so
totally agree. I wouldn't let them through.
it's
But
a
I guess the question.
it's a
Sorry, go
little
ahead.
more open than now, but it's not open where it's free travel for sure.
It's free under the. It's not free. It's a Strait of Hormuz, which is controlled by Iran, and you can navigate through it by paying the toll.
Right, but do they still select what countries benefit and don't? Right.
Yeah, they're gonna have control of the Strait of Hormuz.
How is that different than the last 30 days? It's the same thing. Like Fars News is
Yeah.
It's
reporting
not the
that.
same. How is it the same? Is there an American blockade on right now?
But the Americans weren't blocking almost anything, though, Suleiman.
They weren't blocking. So the Americans were not blocking. The blockade didn't work, but they did block some. They did apprehend some vessels and many. And many other vessels weren't willing to go through the strait because of the American blockade.
Yeah, but wasn't there 3 vessels that were boarded or whatever? That's it.
I think it's about 6 or 7, but
Okay, but still.
yeah, it's not a huge amount. But then there's also other vessels that, because the American blockade was there, they didn't want to go through themselves. Now those vessels will be more amiable to either pay the piper or go through if there is no payment.
But who would be? China said they're not scared and they're going through, and they have been going through, right?
True.
Malaysian has gone through. Indonesia has gone through. Korea
With
has gone.
permission.
Korea has actually gone through.
But
Qatari
only with
vessels.
permission. No, but Korea hasn't been free movement. Korea has
Yeah,
only been through permission.
I agree. And Qatar had 3 vessels just go through in the past 2 days. That was
True.
also with permission, right? So ships are going through. I don't see anyone saying that they're scared of America blockade, right? The only thing that's stopping are the ghost vessels. That's what they've stopped. And the ghost vessels are just ones doing deals underneath the sanction.
I guess the thing is there is about 60 to 80 vessels there, isn't there? There is about 60 to 80 vessels that haven't moved out of the Strait of Hormuz. And so those vessels probably didn't move through because they were not wanting to anger the United States of America. Now that the US is going to remove the blockade, now a lot of US allies are going to have free movement. So someone like South Korea and Japan, yeah, they were getting like 1 or 2 ships through, but they were in severe problems. But now you're going to have a scenario where they'll be able to have free flowing. So having a few ships go through is exponentially different to having a large number of ships go through.
Yeah, we'll see how many go through though. I think maybe I don't think it's going to go back to having. I think what the number was before, where 300 vessels a
It
day.
won't go back to 130 a day because you know how it is. It takes time to ramp up back to those numbers, for sure. But it won't be as low as it was now as well.
Yeah, but
But Solomon,
I think if they get 60, they'll be lucky.
Well, 60 would be double of what's now, right?
Yeah.
Actually, more than
so-
double. We're getting like 5 or 10 a day normally. I think it'll be at least.
There's been days with 30.
Sorry?
There's been days with 30 going through.
Yeah, that was just special days, but I'm talking on average and generally, isn't it?
But Solomon, to your question about gas prices, they almost everywhere has said that regardless if the war ends tomorrow or the Strait of Hormuz is fully reopened, that they don't see gas prices going down for months. And so, like I don't see there even being a procedure.
Breaking news. The White House is on lockdown. Trump is in the White House. But the White House is on lockdown. The latest news on that, but there is a shooter at the White House. Well, we'll obviously continue to give you the news and updates as and when we receive it. Question is, who they're going to blame? Is it Iran? Is it the Israelis? Are they not happy about the Trump deal? They're like, Trump, you betrayed us. What if it's a Pahlavi? We just don't know who it is. It could be anyone. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to just finish your point. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I think they've all said that regardless of what happens, even if the war ended tomorrow and the Strait of Hormuz was reopened, that we're going to see elevated gas prices for months because that'll be the next narrative. It's going to take months, who knows how long, for this to all normalize and for production and the distribution to be back to where it was. So I don't see that. I don't see there being that type of relief in gas prices. I mean, I live in Canada. We're by the liter here, but it's just crazy. Every morning you wake up, it's like a 15-20 cent swing. It's like the volatility of the stock market at the gas pump. So
yeah, that's a great point. I actually agree with what you're saying there. I was just interested in but what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I think the prices will be there.
Suleiman, isn't
And
gas pricing fungible? Isn't it a fungible commodity? So it's just going to be whatever it is, however the global interests do it. It isn't necessarily a US driven price point.
Yeah, it's not US driven. It's just how much is available globally.
But the point is, I think what Arcats is trying to say is because of the closure of the strait, you've got all these bottlenecks, which means that even with the opening, you're still going to have a scenario where the strait prices the oil prices remain high.
Yeah, I assume countries would rush to fill up their reserves once again while it's open, which is going to continue to increase the prices. Right? If you were a smart country, that's what you would do while you have a chance because you don't know what it's going to look like 60 days from now.
Great point, Joe. Let's get there's Guel. We brought him up, but he's glitching. I don't know
I
if
know, I
you can
really want to hear from him. He's like a Cuban monarchist, man. He lives in Cuba and supports Trump.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you brought him up for drama, is basically what you're telling me.
No, I've never met a Cuban monarchist before. He's a doctor. He says, yes, I live in Cuba. Yes, I support Trump.
Did you meet these type of people when you were in Cuba, Beatrix?
Never. I don't even think, I think if I check his bio, he's probably living in America or something. He's probably a typical monarchist.
There's many Cubans in America who support Trump, by the way, but not
Exactly.
living
Actually,
in
let's check
Cuba.
his
That's
profile.
weird.
Let's check. Connected via United States App Store, account based in Cuba. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so
Look,
he
you
lives
know,
in America, not Cuba.
account based in Cuba, it says, but I just want to say something, right? These MAGA people who are congratulating Trump, I'm really happy Trump's done this as well, to be honest. I think he should have never gone to war. But having made that mistake at the behest of Israel, he's done the right thing now. And yeah, he's had to concede, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. I think it's a good thing. I think no more war is a good thing. I can completely understand why the Zios are crying about it. And I expect them to cry about it, to be honest. And I'm quite happy they're crying about it. But I'm happy that the Americans are happy about it. And I'm happy the Iranians are happy about it, to be honest. And I don't really give a damn about what the Zios think. They can cry and cry more. So yeah, it's a good
B,
thing.
do you think they'll create a false flag?
Well, do you know what, Miss Lou? This thing that just happened on the White House, my first thought was, is it a false flag? My second thought was, is it somebody that's going to turn around and say, oh, it's because he agreed this deal with Iran and he's caved to Iran? I don't know. I don't trust them at all. And they could possibly do. You've got the World Cup coming up. It's a big event. Apparently, so let me just read this to you. This is what the Daily Mail newspaper said. They said, Netanyahu is reportedly beside himself, quote unquote, after a furious phone call with Trump over Iran that left the Israeli leader with his hair on fire. They literally said his hair is on fire. So that's how hungry these people are, Miss Lou, for war. So I'm happy.
B, isn't it war that
Trump
keeps him in power? And if war stops, he's out?
Well, if war stops, Miss Lou, he has to attend his court hearings. He's used like everything from I have to visit America. I think he's made like 5 or 6 visits since Trump was inaugurated last year, which is the most for any Israeli president. Every time there's a court hearing.
Correct.
Before
7.
that, during 7, there you go. So before that, during the genocide, he started bombing Syria. He started bombing. He broke the ceasefire on Gaza. He started bombing Lebanon. Like this guy will do anything to avoid. He wants a plea deal, and Trump has tried to get him a plea deal. Trump has written letters, made statements, done tweets, spoken about it. Push them. He's done everything in his power to get the guy a plea deal, but Netanyahu doesn't seem to be getting a plea deal. He wants to be exonerated for everything, and the president doesn't seem to want to play ball to exonerate him. So, we're stuck in stalemate where he's concerned. But I just think that, if Trump's kind of said, I can't do this, and he said to Israel, no, I'm just going to do this memorandum of understanding and I'm going to try to work on a peace deal, then good on him. It doesn't exonerate him for everything else he's done, but at least with this, good on him. It's a good thing. Andy, what do you think?
I mean, this shots at the White House, it just the way it's happening, you already have some MAGA influencers saying these leftists are out of control. But I mean, come on, with Netanyahu being beside himself, this seems kind of almost like a warning to Trump in a way like, hey, if you don't play ball, you know what we did to JFK, you know what we could do to you, kind of. That's my opinion on this. I mean, that's what I've been commenting, and that's what I've been seeing a lot of other people commenting, like Israeli false flag. Like that's exactly what this is. They'll either try to blame it on the Iranians, or they'll just try to say it's a radical leftist. But it's Trump obviously is going to know what it is, and it's obviously a threat to him. Like, hey, if you don't play ball, we can get rid of you and replace you with JD Vance, and he'll happily wage this war and for us and for Palantir. So you better play ball, buddy. I think that that's really what this is, and that this just further shows, in my opinion, how occupied our country is. Like, come on, you have all of the Israel First Zionist crowd crashing out, saying, "No, Trump can't sign this deal." You have Lindsey Graham going ballistic. You have Israeli influencers going ballistic. Mark Levin, and then all of a sudden this happens. It's like so fake at this point. Like, as people have said, we deserve better psyops because everyone sees through this at this point. It's so painfully obvious they're not even trying. Like the timing of it is right after, like 2 hours after they announce a possible deal. It's like, come on, like it wouldn't be
Andy, do you
Iranian.
think we'll get the truth? Do you think we'll get the truth who's doing
No, of
this?
course not. Of course we won't get the truth. They're gonna either try to pretend it's Iranians, which again would make no logical sense, or they're gonna say it's another lone gunman radical leftist. Or radical leftists, which would again make no sense at this timing. Like, because only Mossad would be able to get through Secret Service and even be able to like approach in that situation. A random unhinged leftist isn't getting onto the lawn and committing a shooting.
Do you not think it's crazy that like not crazy, it's a good thing that like these psyops don't even work anymore. Like the biggest one was the Ivanka Trump one. Like something like that 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, would have been like the entire media would have gone crazy. Trump probably would have had to back out from the deal. Trump would have had to go to war. Like everyone's like, nah, we don't believe it. And actually looking into it, like the guy wasn't even like a Iranian guy as well. So it's like this entire psyop thing just it doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah, they don't work anymore. I mean, the last time it worked was, I mean, obviously 9/11, but I mean, now you see the younger generations. We all see like the people that were born either just before or in my case, or after. The guy was born just before, like we see through that now too. So I think they wanted to try some type of violent, really violent false flag, but since everyone was saying even well before this war, like, hey, they're going to try a false flag and blame it on Iran, we preempted that with all these influencers saying something was going to come, and also like so many people like realized it was them with Charlie Kirk. Like they couldn't just do that again. Like they weren't going to be able to get away with some mass shooting blaming it on an Iranian. Like remember that guy who had like property of Allah, and they tried to say, "Oh my God, this is some Muslim terrorist," and it's like people are like, no Muslim I know wears a shirt that says property of Allah. Like you're not supposed to put that on a shirt as a Muslim. Like that's against the culture and stuff. Like so like people saw through that psyop. I think they really wanted to do a massive false flag. Laura Loomer was begging for it. I'm afraid there's gonna be a massive false flag that's or a massive attack and it's gonna be 10 times worse than 9/11. And like, yeah, Laura Loomer wanted that, but everyone would have known what it was and it wouldn't have worked. It would have turned even more people against Israel because it would have just been so obvious.
Solomon, can I push back on this notion? Because after we saw what happened with Massey, obviously spreading false news works, right? The comments you see from on Truth Social, it still works. Like there's way too many people that still believe it. Yeah, thanks to spaces like this and creators on TikTok and YouTube that really starts to educate people, a lot of people have their eyes more open. But the large majority of Americans still believe everything they hear, and that is a big problem.
Joe, just on that, do you not think it's a distinction between believing fake news or false news to believing a major psyop? I do think there's a slight distinction between the two. I think there are people who would get propagandized very easily, who, when there's some major event like a huge psyop attempt, then that one they're always like, I don't really believe that. What do you think?
I feel like they're one and the same. I see the
think so?
people that congratulate Trump for everything he does. I think if you believe everything he does, you believe the false flags too. Like I don't see MAGA supporters not believing anything that comes out of the White
Do you
House. I
think
think they
MAGA
still trust their government.
Just a question on that. Do you think MAGA supporters believe that Iran tried to assassinate him? I'm genuinely asking. I'm
I
not sure
think
I'm asking the
some
question. Do you think
still
that?
will, although it was quickly it was quickly debunked because of the source that it came from.
Who was the source?
But a lot of people don't see the debunking. They just see the headline.
No,
It
I
was
agree.
some
So
random
I'm
guy.
trying to understand how.
Beatrix pointed it out yesterday.
No, I'm trying to ascertain. So that one, because I think that's a good litmus test. Because that one Trump himself said. Like some of the this false flag from yesterday, Trump didn't even mention it himself. So it's not like they have to take Trump's word. So I'm talking about like a false flag which even has Trump saying it. How much of MAGA would you say believe that Iran tried to kill him? I think like not many of them believe that.
Go look at his Truth Social. Go look at his Truth Social post about the targeting of Ivanka, and you'll see.
No. I'm asking you. No, Joe. I'm asking you. I'm asking how many believe that the assassination attempt. They believe that Iran tried to do it. I'm not talking about the yesterday Ivanka one.
I
I'm
think
talking
all of
about
them.
the. I'm talking about the other one.
The Iran one.
No.
I
Was it?
hear it on space. Like I listen
Talking
to a
about
lot of
Butler,
spaces in
right,
the tunnels.
Suleiman? He's talking about Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not Butler. No, not Butler. The one at the golf course was
Oh yeah.
supposedly
Oh
by
yeah. Sorry,
Iran,
golf course. Yeah. That's the one.
right? So the one, the golf course one. Many of them, I still today I hear it on spaces. People saying,
No, I get that because there's actual
right,
paid.
that is the
No, but Joe, so Spaces, I get because Spaces after October 7th became a financial propagandized for the Israelis in the sense of they were paying people to do the propaganda. I'm talking about like an average, like all MAGA. If you take all MAGA as a percentage, would you say the majority, all of them, 50-50 believe that? I'm asking. I actually don't know. That's what I'm asking.
say you never get a
Yeah, we're just guessing. We're just
100%,
guessing,
but I
innit?
would say majority. So 60
Okay.
to 80% of MAGAs believe that Iran targeted him on the golf course. And Miss Lou is in those spaces a lot. She'll tell you. I'm sure she's heard it too.
Yeah, I am.
They
I
still
am.
to this day repeat
And
it.
I'm very atypical MAGA. Okay, I have breaking away. In other words, I take what I like and I don't take what I don't like, and I do not believe that Iran was involved in that assassination. And I talk to people, and they say, "Well, you go in these spaces and these spaces." I go, "Yeah," because I don't want to sit in a freaking echo chamber while all of you take every single piece of news that comes out from the conservative side of things as gospel. That's bullshit.
But
And
Miss Lou, you strike me as a former MAGA because you don't trust Trump anymore, right? So the
no, I don't.
remnants of MAGA.
Listen, I'm
Mhm.
balls and strikes. If Trump does something that I really like, or if there's a policy that comes through that I like, I'm like, yay, go for it. But lately, I mean, I am. You've seen my posts. I'm like, MAGA is MAGA's a brand that is being trashed. Let me put it that way. MAGA was a brand, and it was actually started by Ronald Reagan, and my mom worked for Reagan, and it was a good idea. It was a very, get the populace. It was getting the people, we the people, the forgotten men and women. Well, the forgotten men and women are starting to get the fact that they're being real forgotten continually by these globalists, these elitists, and the billionaire class. I'm sorry, but that also is what Trump belongs to. He's a good businessman. I don't think he knows a hell of a lot about geopolitics, and he's trying to cut deals. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt to benefit the country, but he's stepping into these freaking rabbit holes by bad advice by people like Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin and all these people who just want to play war games all day long. And I don't know if they're being fed by the CIA or Mossad or MI6 or all three of those guys. But this is not. We've got to stay out of this. We have too much of our own problems here at home, and a $40 trillion debt. So that's my thinking on it. And I
But
have to
Miss Blue,
be
you're giving him too much of a break, I think, though, because he's broken his word. On his first run, he was anti-establishment in 2016. I loved his messaging, right? He
right.
went back on so many of his points, and clearly, you see what he's doing with Adelson. He gave a pardon to Jonathan Pollard. All this happened after
Yeah,
the fact. So how can you,
all this. Cyrus, he
so
just
that
said he wanted to, he'll just forget about it and go be the prime minister of Israel. Even if that was a joke, it was a bad joke in the timing of it. People are very sick about the fact that the Israel coalition, APAC, whatever, AMAC, whatever, no, APAC.
Yeah, but it's more than the joke, though. He sends Kushner to do a real estate deal in
I
Gaza after
know.
they genocided people. So I mean, there's no more credibility left in Trump. So like you can believe in MAGA to let's make America great again with someone else's leadership. Clearly, he is just terrible.
Well,
Like
I like
as a
DeSantis.
and
That's
I'm a
who I'm
conservative and
betting
I'm a
on.
Republican. And I
Yeah.
will. And Trump is the last person on earth that I want to lead my country and my party. Have you reached that realization yet, or you still have a soft spot for him?
No, like I said, if there's something that I hear that's done good, I like put a fist up. But mostly right now, I am not happy with it, and I'm not happy with it largely because of this war and a lot of things that have not happened with accountability for the people in the previous administration who were doing a lot of terrible things to Americans. So
Yeah, but there
I
comes a
just
point where you have to
Okay,
renounce the
okay,
individual and the character.
Yes, I
Cyrus.
agree. I'm not disagreeing with you one bit. Like I just said, if DeSantis ran in 28, I like DeSantis. I live in Florida, and he has done a lot of good things. But I don't trust politicians today in general because they'll say one thing, they get up to DC with the cocktail parties, and maybe it's the gold or the lead offer. I don't know. By the time the intelligence and the deep state gets to them, you get the gold or the lead. Which one do you want? I mean, I don't know. All I know is that we're heading for a really bad place if we, the people, don't stick together and make sure we have our freedoms. And the technology that's going to be coming down on us, we better be really wary of it. Thank you very much, you guys, for letting an old lady ramble on.
Thank you.
I honestly
So
feel,
just
I honestly feel as if
go-
like the way I can describe it, Solomon, you'll probably be able to relate to this because you're a fellow Brit yourself. But MAGA for me is very much feels like it's kind of what Reform have done. Like Reform first started off as like a very far right movement, and they've become more and more tolerant. Same as MAGA. Like the way I saw it, I didn't like Donald Trump from the very off. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't like what the guy stands for. I think his values are in the wrong place. But he got into office with those values, and now he's sort of like 180'd and gone back on those values, and is now starting to become more tolerant. And people like the MAGA supporters don't necessarily like that. Am I wrong for thinking that, or am I along the right lines?
No, I think common
no,
sense.
Tolerant.
Common
I
sense.
think
Let's
What do you mean? Wait, 1 second, Josh. What do you mean tolerant? Tolerant of what?
Becoming more inclusive, like around the board. Like when Reform first come in, they were saying, "Oh, we're going to stop immigration. We're going to stop this. We're going to stop that." Very much how like Trump was like, "We're going to stop immigration. We're going to stop this. We're going to stop that." And gradually, more and more, it's becoming more. They're relaxing their policies a little bit. If that makes more sense.
No, it doesn't really, because Trump literally went to war with Iran, right? That's
And now
what
he's
this is
back. And now he's
about.
back. And now he's backtracking. He's backtracking.
Well, he
Which is a
lost. He's
good
not
thing,
backtracking.
Josh.
He
You
lost the
shouldn't have
war.
gone. All right, Cyrus, do you know what? This is a thing that you've just bitched to me in DMs about, so maybe you want to keep your mic shut, because I will throw you off. Josh, do you know what? Let me just go to trauma zones, because I think you wanted to jump in. Trauma zones, jump in.
Oh, yeah, real quick, I just wanted to say on Joe, I like what Joe and Andy were both saying because y'all are both correct for real. I see it from the person perspective with Andy. It's nice seeing people wake up to the horrors that are taking place in our name and see through the kosher Masonic theater that is conducted for us. And I think Joe is 100% right. There's a lot of people that only get their information from mainstream news sources, and they refuse to absolutely touch on pain points because these pain points are not delivered to them via the mainstream news sources in America. That is 100% viable, and I see it every day in my own location where I live at in Nevada. So I think the real litmus test boils down to is the Epstein files, right? Like I didn't get to say this the other day because I wasn't a speaker, but I heard someone in this chat who's a valid a rabid supporter of Donald Trump still to this day. And I watched this individual completely disavow the victim stories behind all of the victims that were on the other end of the Epstein files, and to see someone blatantly turned a blind eye to such pain and suffering and absolute horror done in the name of someone who claims to do nothing but good things for America. I think getting people to break this dichotomy and acknowledge that these people are directly responsible for the death, murder of children. If you can't draw the line there, I don't know where to draw the line at. It connects to everything in that regard, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks for that, Trauma. Just some more news coming out, and actually, I'm glad David's come up at the right time. There is a huge response by Russia on Ukraine. We're seeing Russian Oreshniks strikes in Kiev, huge explosions heard in Kiev as well. David, I hope you're doing well. How are you? Give us your thoughts.
David, you gonna gloat about the debut of that weapon today?
No, but I could stick a
weapon,
knife
by
in
the
your
way,
back,
Suleiman.
and I could stick a knife in your back and get back at you about the other night when you spoke about the Power of Siberia too. I dropped you a DM with the proof that I was right. Thank you, Suleiman. Emotional last 36 hours in relation to what has happened in Luhansk. Extremely emotional. Brings back the memory of Islam, actually. The latest is 21 young students who were murdered in their beds. Some of them were killed by falling roofs as they were running in their pajamas to get away. Extremely emotional, and I would say it's taken the top off the grenade tin in relation to Russia at the moment. There is news, of course, that the Russians are launching Iskanders, Kinjals, and indeed, hopefully, we are all waiting for Orenchik. I can tell you that I've spoken to people back in Russia, including family-in-laws, and the most reticent people in Russia would be against this SMO, babushkas, let's say. They're on their Telegram and VK, saying, please, Mr. Putin, hit them, take them out, flatten them, eradicate them. Some of them have mentioned that term of do a Gaza on them. The Russians have absolutely no love at all for the Israelis, and the most what has happened in Palestine. A few do, but
A quick question, David. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Solomon. Can you fix the YouTube audio, please? Sorry, David,
no
continue.
problem. But I just give the Russian opinion on this new agreement. There's total belief that this agreement is
Just before you go to the agreement, just before you go to the last question on this, David, and then just jump in on the agreement. There is I don't know if you, but there is huge explosions in Kiev right now. The Russian Oreshniks have been used. What's your thoughts on it?
I honestly was away for the last half an hour now. I just posted something that I got off of Alexander Kotz, but I didn't see anything in relation to the proof that an Orenchik has been used. If an Orenchik has been
Yeah,
used,
we've got so much video. I'll tell you a really good page to follow, David. It's called Suleiman Ahmed page. The videos are there.
I would have gone for Pyotr myself. I say he's delighted. The Russians
Oh
are
my
winning.
God, that's fake news, David. You don't want to get fake news, do you?
I know. I've been hypnotized to believe it, according to him, and the rest of them. By the way, look, there is in the perspective. We leave Kiev for a minute. Hopefully, when I get to it, half of it is flattened. But in relation to the prospect of a peace agreement, the Russians believe that this is another fake hold situation, that there is no purpose for the US to have peace It needs war. Indeed, the narrative is that it must have war. Now, the Russians want to see Iran having a war because this war, as you rightly were taking the piss out of me for a couple of weeks, has pissed off the Russians so much, the public, in the fact that here's the Iranians in a couple of weeks have done more than we did in 4 years. What the hell are we doing? What is our main Ministry of Defense people doing? What's Gasimov doing, Putin and the lads? In that, Iran has managed to take on the world's superpower along with Junior and annihilate 13 bases. We haven't even touched one yet. And that's really pissed them off. But anyway, the Russians are of the opinion that they would love to wake up in the morning and see the war re-go again, because it puts Zelensky in Kiev back onto page 22 of your local sports rag. And Zelensky who? Ukraine what? We just saw today that they're scrambling in the EU, and there's a mention that they're, instead of this 95 billion they're going to give Kiev, no, they're doubling it almost. 180 billion is a new one, because they want war with Russia. They need to build up. So as Medvedev has voiced even on the Baltics just 2 days ago, the narrative in Russia is that, if indeed is necessary, which is looking more like it, that the Russians are going to wholly engage in taking those listed targets that Medvedev made public, which are about 35 extended targets from Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, Germany, France, and London. Anyone standing around Downing Street at some time in the near distant future may just see
I was just about to ask that, because I saw 3 locations that the Russians have said that they were going to hit. One of them was London, one was Leicester, and then I think it was Letchworth, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the prime one, Josh, I did a thread on it, and I was talking Suleiman, to our mutual friend, on it. He agreed. The best target for the Russians to hit, of a primary target in all of continental Europe, would be the square mile city in London. Out of 176 banks, the Central Bank of London, the financier of all wars that we know of, and the instigator through the intelligence agency, which is located right there. It's not on the Thames where it's supposed to be. It's right in the city square, London. That's where the bosses are. That's where everything originates. That they would do 3 Arenchiks straight into it. And the Arenchiks, the new ones, upgraded ones, helped by China, the warheads are now upgraded so that they sink into the foundations by up to 30 to 60 meters, cause an earthquake and knock those buildings over like bowling pins. And this has been voiced by analysts in Russia, including one person that gave us information from Rostec, which is the Pentagon. So these targets are pre-planned to the point that they've looked at them, they've assessed them, and with the way that the Russian public is, especially what has happened now, everyone is talking about Beslan in comparison to this, and Beslan, of course, is of no comparison in numbers, because 186 children were murdered in that one. That was in March, I should say, 2024 or 2004. It is eliciting the same anger. So, like, there's a lot of ill feeling tonight. Whether this attack, as you say, hopefully it's an Arenchik. I'll break open the little pot of caviar I have here at the moment and celebrate if indeed it is. But if it's not going to do what the Russian public is asking, then Putin may have just started something that he will not be able to stop. And that is, to commence the termination of Kiev, because the Russians are of the belief that everything, as I did in the post earlier, everything that is in Ukraine that is killing Russians in Russia is emanating from Germany, Poland, and London. So hopefully it will lead to something more. But I can tell you that anyone who was against it, including little babushkas back in Bogdanovich in Siberia, where they're next to a graveyard where several of their family members now rest because of the SMO. And you would think that these people would be the last to show grievance, towards a war. They're actually voicing it. They're saying enough is enough. Let's go. So it's monumental what's happened in the last 36 hours, but it's an accumulation of what we have seen recently, even from New Year's Eve, and when they killed over 30 people in a restaurant celebrating New Year's Eve night. But I go back, the opinion in Russia is that this agreement will fail. America needs a war due to its gross oversized debt. and that war is the only way that this will work for the states. And that's their belief. And by the way, we should congratulate each other that we mentioned weeks and weeks ago that China and Russia were augmenting everything militarily in Iran. I think we can say without contest that is the case. The amount of tonnage of military hardware that's gone into Iran, is off the charts in relation to what the Russians just disclosed. A lot of the correspondence, again, some of them affiliated with the Russian state media have voiced it, including, again, just yesterday, General Abdulodnov made a point to speak on that, to say that Iran has more than enough it needs in order to take on head Satan, Epstein government, as he calls it. Just even call it USA anymore. General Alodnov calls it the Epstein government. They absolutely hate and detest with fervor what's going on. I say there even more now today. So thank you very much, Suleiman.
Appreciate that, David. David, check your message as well if you get a chance. Guys, there's lots of breaking news today. So just to give everyone a recap, one is it does seem like a peace deal has been agreed upon by the United States of America and Iran. The second piece of news is there is a shooting in the White House. Shooting in the White House right now, 20 to 30 shots fired. And the third big news is that Russia has used the Oreshnik with a major payload against Kiev right now. I believe there was two fired. So it's significant escalations everywhere. Actually, Cyrus, are you there?
Two
I'm
wounded,
here,
by the
Solomon.
way, too. Two
Huh?
wounded at the White House. Two
Two
wounded at the White House.
people wounded in the White House as well.
Not in. I don't know if it's in or outside. Because of that event.
Yeah. I mean, around the White House, whatever. Cyrus,
Yes,
can you just let the audience know a bit of information about the Oreshnik and why this was different? For example, they used it previously, but without a actual payload. If you can explain that to the audience.
yeah, for sure. I was actually going to respond to some of David's commentary. So the Oreshnik is a very advanced and powerful medium-range ballistic missile. However, it carries 6 warheads. The warheads are about 600 pounds each, about 150. I'm sorry, not 600 pounds, about 300 and change, 300 pounds each. 6 warheads. The issue with the Oreshnik is it's mainly it was designed to be a nuclear strike weapon, right? Although it's quite accurate for a nuclear armed missile, but the CEP, the circular error probable, that's how they measure the accuracies of these missiles. It's about 90 meters to 200 meters, right? So something about 1 football field to 2 football fields. So as David said, if they launch, let's say, 5 of these missiles with 30 warheads coming in, it will saturate the area. It will be kind of like a clustering effect. But a 500-pound, 600-pound warhead, it's actually less than a 300-pound warhead will not do the kind of damage, and it's not accurate enough. It will do area denial. That area will have to be shut down. But these are not real eventualities. I don't think it's in the playing. In the deck of cards for Russia to attack any of these major cities. Both, it won't serve a big strategic purpose, and it will just be escalatory. What's more likely is Russia will hammer down further in Ukraine and punish them. I think
No,
until
1 second. I don't know. So they've already fired the Russians. There's been 2 hit in the city of Belata server in Kiev.
yeah, in Kiev, yes, but not in the UK. I'm saying it's
Oh,
they
you're
will.
about the UK. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm talking.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking
So
about Kiev, bro.
yeah, so they're going to
No, the
continue
UK
to.
is more like the threatening right now. That's like a big threat coming out from Russia.
But it's not a credible threat. That's what I'm saying. So it's not a credible threat for those reasons I listed. It's not accurate enough. The warheads aren't big enough.
Yeah,
You can't.
sorry. Let me rephrase that. I've misquoted myself. So not that it's a threat against UK. That was Josh who was saying that, and I think David was speaking about it. But from the Russians that I spoke to, they were all saying like they would be thinking about they would be thinking about the Baltics. They'd be thinking about possibly Germany, those type of things. But sorry, do finish.
Yeah, so the advanced drone factories, I think the Baltics will be first on the list. Germany is last on the list. I don't think they'll hit Poland or Germany. I think they'll hit the Baltics. one, they were in their sphere for the longest time. They feel kind of this entitlement to them, and they feel it's much more of a slap in the face from the Baltics that they're working so closely with the Ukrainians and NATO than Poland, for example. I think it was expected for Poland to behave that way, but before the conflict and obviously after the conflict, I think the Russians expected the Baltics to be more neutral. So I think they do have a vendetta against the Baltics. I can see that. I think there's probably a 50% likelihood they will hit some drone factories in the Baltics, and the Oreshnik, among other weapon systems, will be more effective. It's pretty much the only thing they can get through Kiev. Kiev does have a multi-layered air defense system with the Patriot PAC-3s being the backbone of it.
Cyrus, you're
So,
about, you're about 6 months
the
behind.
Oreshnik is the only thing. The Oreshnik is the only thing they can get through very reliably. So for Kiev, Oreshnik is the only one that works every time.
Cool, thanks. Go ahead, David. You want to jump in?
Yeah, it's May 2026, Cyrus, not May 2025. Firstly, there is no air defense systems working currently in all of Ukraine. They mostly have guys standing at the border with half trucks and carrying guns at the back of them and chasing them with helicopters. In relation to Iranchik, obviously you don't understand what the Iranchik is. The Iranchik is the top tier of conventional warfare. How it works, it has an exploding metallic warhead that heats up the immediate vicinity deep underground to between 4,000 to 4,500 degrees centigrade, as Putin said, hotter than the sun. The first one that they used in the Dnipro, which was a massive industrialized unit that had 5 stories of underground level, similar to the Azovstal in Mariupol in 22 when the big battle was going on. It obliterated everything over 52 acres. To say that it's within a 200-meter target con spot is absolutely totally wrong. They were hitting within 10 meters.
No military analyst will say that. That's pure Russian propaganda. Even the Russians don't say that.
No,
So that's your personal opinion. Even the Russians don't claim that. So check your sources.
Well, Fox News is not a good source, Cyrus, so you need to move on.
I'm not looking at Fox News. I look at what the Russian government reports about their weapon systems. I'm going by what the Russians say. You don't know what you're talking about. You're incredulous.
Cyrus, you can't do this to every single person. This just can't happen, right? It's just getting crazy. Like, you made a point, he's making a point, and you immediately interrupt, right? It's just craziness. Like, let him finish his point.
It's inaccurate. You have people coming up here right now. You have people coming up here giving false information. It's propaganda.
Okay, getting dropped, right? This is just, you're just going to have to learn the etiquette of a space. I'm not going to have this kind of chaos going on. Like, someone has to be able to make a point without you interrupting. Go ahead, David, finish your point.
Thanks. Yeah, I've just checked as well. You're dead right. Well, of course, you are always. 2 Iranchiks have gone in, and we're just waiting on news to see what the actual targets were. They looked like they were both mass manufacturing entities, but the assessment was done on my previous point for targeting, and it came up when Medvedev released that list, and there was also a secondary list, and the action was what would they use these Iranchiks for? What would they use the upgraded calibers for? And the assessment was done that 3 Iranchiks knocks out 1 square mile of the city of London. That is, you don't see above ground massive explosions. These Iranchiks are made for to go deep into the soil, cause a thermal bomb. I'm not going to say thermonuclear, but the ability to knock down buildings is there. I mean, when they took out this massive plant in Dnipro, 5 stories underground, each level over 4 to 7 meters of ceilings. It was massive. It's the size of 2 or 3 Wembley stadiums, including underground. They neutralized everything. Everything was turned into, the metal was turned into liquid, and the airburst killed over 600 people. Now, the Ukrainians never admitted to it. Of course, why would they? They never even allowed people to go in. There was pictures given, and it was like Nagasaki on the entrance going in there. So what the Iranchik is end of days missile. If you put it into the middle of Kiev, you have a 1 square kilometer of complete and utter devastation. It is the largest conventional weapon. It's good to see it. I'm delighted that it has been used. It's about time, but like a lot of Russians are saying, it's not enough. And if you were looking at Dmitry Polyansky, I mentioned the other night when he was talking to Daniel Davis, he recently said the same to Glenn Deason, that, it's gone beyond the point of diplomacy between Kiev and Moscow. Even Rubio said it
He
yesterday.
said the same in my interview with him as well,
Yes,
David.
sorry, he did. Yes, sorry. Like that, it's gone beyond. And that was, I mean, the first time he said it was on Davis and to you and to Deason. I mean, this is something quite out of the box. I mean, we have never seen this in the 4 years of the SMO. That diplomacy is far. Now, Lavrov did mention it first when he was walking out of a conference back in March, that he believed personally, and he does say things personally to the public, that, you know, diplomacy is for all intents and purposes thrown away. For Polanski to say it was the chief diplomat of continental Europe for Russia, outside of the Russian ambassador in London, was quite something. It just goes to show you that his boss, by the way, would be Medvedev. I know his real boss is Putin, but the Medvedev clan is Polyansky. And we know how Medvedev and his clan thinks, because honestly, that, you know, to say that Medvedev is inconsequential, you know, to the Russian diplomacy route, he is absolutely not. He is the spearhead for the vast majority of people, both the military faction and the diplomatic faction inside the Kremlin, to say that, you know, enough is enough. You just had Zhuganov, the head of the Communist Party, you know, voice again in the last couple of days that enough is enough. They're talking about the good old days of the Great Patriotic War, Gennady Zhuganov. So this is ramping up to be something quite, you know, out of the bag at this stage. And the Russians are looking at Europe as a continental mess. There is no unified factor within Europe. There is no continental army. There's aspirations that they have armies, but, you know, for 4 years, and to the benefit of Iran, Ukraine has depleted all of the military assets of Europe. So it's quite good now. I'm going to get my tin opener and have my caviar and watch these orange chicks fly. I've just posted a few of them. There's a couple of hundred actually coming up on Telegram, and I'll make that call as well for you, Suleiman. Thanks, Suleiman.
Appreciate it, David. Appreciate it as always. Thanks, David. Joe, jump in.
Yeah,
Just before
I wanted
Dana
to.
goes, John, just 1 second. I've just got an update on the White House. So sorry. So apparently, Fox News is saying a gunman approached the White House near Gate 17 around 6 p.m. I guess that's Eastern time. Fired 3 shots towards the building, and Secret Service agents returned fire, taking him down. I don't know if that means he's dead or not, but they took him down. A civilian was also hit during the exchange. Officials say the suspect never breached the White House perimeter and Trump is safe. So that's from Fox News. Also, we have a couple of the local journalists who were there. Julio Rosas, he's not a journalist, he's a field reporter and an ex-US Marine. He says DC law enforcement says the Secret Service shot 2 men outside the White House at 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. That would kind of coincide with what Fox News, correlates with what Fox News is saying, because they're saying that the gunman was taken down and a civilian. So that's 2 men were shot by the Secret Service per DC law enforcement. 1 man is reported unconscious and not breathing. I guess that's the shooter, and that means he's dead if he's not breathing. So I don't know why they just don't say it. And the other is conscious and breathing, and no injuries to law enforcement were reported. And there is some videos that are going to be going out very shortly on Suleiman's page, I think. So yeah, that was it. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to go to David. You mentioned when you started that I was wrong. I don't know what on. I really just want to talk about the gas pipeline.
It was the
because
funding
it
for the
is a
Paris
huge
Siberia.
deal in terms of
Yeah, it
pricing.
was the funding about it. Actually, Gazprom started it back in 2020.
Well-
So, and 5 massive installations already built, over 2,200 kilometers already structured. They're just waiting. Actually, the memorandum of understanding was finalized when Putin went to meet Xi. So the fact that they have been at it for the last 6 years and put trillions of rubles actually into it, there's quite a big specification list of what is done. It's hundreds of pages in 3 PDFs. You can go check it out.
Hello?
But when you said that it was not being built,
Can you hear me?
it actually was.
Can you guys hear me? Because I lost connection for a second.
I can hear you.
Okay.
David, can you hear Joe?
Yeah, I
So
can.
as of Friday, okay, most news reported Dmitry Peskov announced a shared understanding of the main parameters of Power of Siberia 2, the route and how it will be built. Okay. He concedes that there's also many unresolved issues and the timeline for carrying it out is not set as construction has not started. But in his words,
Yeah, but
Chinese authorities
okay,
seem
okay.
primed. Hold on, let me finish.
You
I
said
didn't
this the other
interrupt
night
you,
as well.
David. I didn't interrupt you.
Listen,
I
you
didn't
didn't
interrupt,
but I'm just
you.
going to
Let me
clarify.
finish.
You're
Let
talking
me
about
You
the
can
actual
clarify after
physical
I'm done.
pipeline.
Have some respect. You can clarify when I'm done.
You're just ranting
Right?
on for nothing.
Peskov has said it has not started and there is no time to completion, and the Chinese have not signed it yet. There are still issues about the contract they need to sign. Why is this pipeline important? Because it would greatly lower the price of gas around the world, because it is a huge volume of gas. And I think America's trying to get that deal before Russia does, because there's no timeline on it yet. And you said that it started when Peskov himself has said it's not started.
Oh, okay.
So I don't get
Have you relaxed now?
where you get that. And then your article, it states no sources whatsoever. It's just your opinion. And even in your piece,
Gazprom is the source, Joe. Calm yourself. Calm now. Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry if I don't trust Gazprom, and I trust what
Okay.
Peskov is saying
You
to
don't
people.
trust Gazprom. Okay, Joe. I think that says enough. Good luck to you.
Why does that say enough? You write in your own article, once the final commercial contract is signed between Putin and Xi.
Do you understand what's built? Let me explain to you. Let's give me 20 seconds now. Relax. Take your finger off the button for 20 seconds.
I just want to see if the pipeline has been started.
20 seconds. 20 seconds.
When is it supposed to be done?
Joa, 20 seconds.
David, it doesn't matter. When is it supposed to be done?
Joa, let him answer your question, please.
Jesus, Joa, relax. Estrogen. Look, the issue here is that for the last 7.5 years, Power Siberia 1 has been in action. And since November 2019, the infrastructure was started to be built for the Power Siberia 2, which includes 5 main terminals, over 62 compressors, scrubbers, etc. And I don't understand it, but you can go into it. Actually, you can talk to Stanislav Kaprivic, Suleiman, the next time he's in, because that's his business profession. He does oil contracts and he knows all about it. I can bring in one of the head guys that did the Shackleton oil project, who is now currently working on the Power Siberia 2. I met him. I know him. I worked for him. Actually, when I was in London, as part of a team, I worked for him, and he's based in Moscow. I can bring him in. They've actually you look at Gazprom did 1.7 trillion rubles just last year. On Power Siberia 2. The infrastructure all on the Russian side in the Siberian fields is all completed. When Putin went to Ulaanbaatar there last year to meet the Mongolian president, they literally signed an MOU that will give Mongolia $1.1 billion a year in transit fees, something very, very similar to what occurs in the UAE for some of the guys that just have a pipe going across their land, which is a monumental amount of money in Mongolia, which is basically nothing. And what they have is seven manufacturing entities ready to start producing the pipeline. Actually, September 22, they signed in Shanghai, one of the main factories to supply the pipeline for the Power Siberia 2. All they're waiting on is cursory elements, but the 5 main infrastructural items have already been built. Now, there's nowhere for the gas in Siberia to go.
That's where the confusion is, David. That's where the confusion is. I said the pipeline has not been started, right? You just said in your own thing, they're starting to produce to start the pipeline.
They
You're
actually
talking about infrastructure to support it. That's different.
They've
The
actually
pipeline
built
has not been started.
2,200 kilometers of pipeline between the 5 main units that are generated to supply the main Power Siberia 2 pipeline. So the infrastructure is done. But basically, it's happening here, Joa. You have your cash in your hand. You're running down to the local car
won't
dealer.
start until.
Hang on, Joa. Hang on. You're running down to the local car dealer.
You interrupted me, David. I was speaking.
I'm sorry.
Calm down your estrogen. Calm your
my
estrogen,
is all right.
David.
I get it checked.
No, it's not, because you're so worried about how it looks.
No, I'm not worried.
Construction has not started.
I'm actually having a ball tonight. Orenchiks have just gone into Kiev. You don't get me down.
Anyone can go to any AI or type into any browser and look, has construction on the Siberia
You
2
do know that
started?
the maps
It'll
I
tell you
gave you
no.
are
And then
Gazprom
when it tells you,
maps.
and then when it tells you no, ask
Gazprom,
when will it
comrade.
start? It
Rosneft
won't
and
start
Gazprom.
until 2027 or 2028. It is still far away from being
It's
done.
it's an
And you're trying to make it
expected.
seem like it's halfway done,
No,
which is
no.
ridiculous.
It's about 80% done. 80% done. You're not listening.
80%. It hasn't even gone through Mongolia yet. What are you talking
You're getting too
about?
emotional there, Joe. Relax.
Are
80%
you talking
done.
about Pipeline 2? Or are you talking about Siberia 2?
Hang on, Joe. Joe, relax now.
You can't
80%
be
is
talking about
done.
Siberia
Oh,
2.
Christ
You can
almighty.
see it by satellite if it was true. And you can't see it. Go look. There is no satellite photo of Siberia
You're
2.
on
There
too
is a
much
Siberia
coffee there,
1,
Joe.
not Siberia 2.
Too much coffee.
No, too much vodka, my friend.
I don't drink, comrade Tavarish. I'm okay.
You should.
No,
Nastrovia.
strawberry milkshake is all I take. If you're lucky I don't have vodkas, then all hell will break loose. Look, the point being is, in order to get the gas from the Siberian oil fields into the homes in Beijing, you have to put in the infrastructure. The only thing that's left is 2 years and 7 months, which is the expected time frame to build a pipeline. They've taken on 2 extra suppliers for the manufacturing of that pipeline, and they expect to have it done by early 2029. I actually mentioned this a few months ago here on the Space with Suleiman, that they've upgraded their speed from 2030 to early 2029. So that's all that's left. At this moment in time, there's tens of thousands of workers working the Siberian oil fields outside of Power Siberia 1 to get Power Siberia 2 ready. And they're spending over Gazprom alone, and there's several parties involved, including Rosneft and 2 other private corporations with Sino and the Russian entity. They're spending trillions of rubles a year between them all.
David, can you provide just one source, a single source? I don't even care who
Go
it's
to
from,
Gazprom.
except
I won't.
yourself.
You have Tom's, yeah.
Except from yourself. That
You have Tom's.
Siberia
Go to
2
Gazprom.
pipeline has been started.
Oh,
No,
Jesus
just
Christ.
send it to me. Because it's a
Do you know
huge
what
deal.
you're
The reason
ranting
why it's
about
a
now?
huge
Do you know
deal.
what you're
Can
ranting
I
about?
finish so I can make a point to the
No, you
audience,
made your point.
David? Can I make a point?
idiotic.
No, can I make a point to the
Well,
audience?
go on.
Because this
Put the
is a
dress on.
huge deal in terms of who controls LNG, right? Because on Siberia 1, they started that in what, 2014, somewhere around there. It got built, I think, 19 or 20, and then it took another 5 years to build up to full capacity. That's typically what it takes. You just said 2 years. It takes 10 years to get to full
No,
capacity.
you're still
So
not
you're talking
listening.
about something you don't know.
Am I
Like,
speaking
it's
in English
vastly
that you
different
don't
from the
understand
truth.
this? Sorry, I
It's
know
vastly
I'm
different from the
Irish,
truth.
but I mean, for God's sake, you're not
David, I
understanding
normally
English.
like you, but can you provide one source that it's been pipeline's
You've
been
asked that
started?
now 3 times, and I'm telling you, go to Gazprom, you'll find it.
Where on Gazprom? Tell me
Okay,
where. I'm on
I
the
don't know how
computer
many
right
people
now. I'm going to
are
go to
on this
Gazprom.
space here
Tell
at
me
the moment.
where it says.
Look out the
Look, I
window,
work
you
for.
see the sky.
I did work for Luke Oil. I know Gazprom very well. Tell me where to look.
Go look.
Where? Tell me where to look that it says that Siberia 2 has been started.
Define what started means. I just told you the infrastructure
That the pipeline has been started, not the infrastructure.
This is
The
the
pipeline.
4th
The
time you're
infrastructure
saying
is
it.
shared.
Are you going to say the 5th time
infrastructure
now?
shared from Power Siberia
Jonah,
1.
you're being infantile.
Understand? I'm being infantile?
Yes.
You literally can't
No, you're
provide a
just
single
calling Jonah,
source.
David. Oh, wow, David. Nice, David, nice. You called him Jonah. Russians are the best.
Sorry. I'm trying to do something.
Look,
I'm trying to DM for Suleiman here as well and have an argument with someone who doesn't admit that he's wrong. I'm going to say it again. I'm saying it to the space and the people here, not you now, Joe. So let's just listen. What the Russians have done is, now don't say anything because I'm not talking to you, okay? What the Russians have done is they've built 5 major infrastructural projects to extract the oil, compress it, screed it, and have it ready for the pipeline to go in. Now, this has taken 6.5 years. Trillions of rubles have been spent, so everything is ready to go. And structurally, at this moment, they put in 2,200 kilometers of pipelines in between all these facilities. They're massive. One of them is the biggest in the world, actually, outside of one of the units in Aramco.
That's why it's so important.
And they're doing
it. That's why I'm making a big deal about it.
Yeah, you certainly bloody are.
Yeah, because it changes the price of liquid natural gas.
I understand all that at the end. Sure, it's going to be 50 billion cubic meters a year. They're expecting it up to 80 billion cubic meters a year. I know all about it. I've looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it won't be up to full capacity until 2030 at the minimum. At the minimum.
I already
And
said that.
that's
Did
the
you not hear
earliest
me?
projections.
Yeah.
No,
And
you said it's
at
80% done. So why does it take till
I
2030?
said the projection was 2030. They're hoping to have it done by early 2029. Did you not hear me say it? Or did you not hear me over your rant?
I probably didn't hear you over your rant.
There you go. You didn't hear me because you were melting off.
No, I wasn't mouthing off. I asked you for a single source. I put up in the comments, everyone, you can go look at the interview from Petrosky saying it has not started. So you can look it up yourself.
Petrosky. Who's Petrosky?
You're welcome. You're welcome to put up your own source. I said his name wrong. Apologies.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, but you're welcome to put up a source too, because the only source you have up there is your words. But don't mean much. You need a source.
Have a nice night.
This is huge for America if they're able to
David, can
complete
I
it
just
earlier.
say something that will make all of this clear for you? Somebody on our panel the other day said that Jonah reminded them of Piotr. That should make everything fall into place. He's like a mini me of Piotr.
Disavow.
That is
Okay.
I don't have a
beginning to look
billionaire.
like it.
I don't have a billionaire dad though.
Neither does
unfortunately.
he. Neither does he.
Yes, he does.
He was an accountant for a billionaire. He's not a billionaire.
Just some more breaking news, guys. Unfortunately, what do you think the Israelis do at this time? So there's huge, massive strikes on Gaza right now by Israel. So there's huge strikes on Gaza right now. So that's the latest news. I'm just posting it out, but yeah, that's the latest. Yeah, David, if you could check that for me, that'd be awesome.
They did 3 massacres on Gaza today.
Yeah.
Suleiman, earlier, before the space started. They'd already done 3.
Yeah, that's crazy. This is what the Israelis do, right? Andy, jump in.
Hold on, my mic's glitching. Okay, there, I got it to work. Yeah, so of course, this is Israel sadly throwing a tantrum. Every time they don't get what they want, they massacre civilians. Oh, so if assuming this was a legitimate deal, or they even had, maybe this is a legitimate deal, maybe it isn't, but the fact, if they even think that Trump's considering doing a deal, they will do anything. They will massacre civilians to try to blow up a deal. That's what they'll do. They'll probably strike Lebanon really hard next. Like, remember the day after the ceasefire in early April, they did their biggest attack on Lebanon of the war, and they killed 357 people. Like, that's just what they do. They will do anything to avoid it, because obviously this war, they feel like they have to somehow topple Iran, which just isn't going to happen, to cling on to the last prayers of hope of their greater Israel project, which it's not going to happen, but they're delusional enough to think that it is. Iran has firmly put a stop to that with this war, thankfully, so they're going to just do anything. And then Netanyahu obviously has his own personal motivations with his corruption trial, because if he goes to because you have to remember, like, there are a lot of people out on the streets protesting him and his changes to the judiciary. Hundreds of thousands of people were protesting him right before October 7th. Like, and that just only got temporarily put aside, the negative feelings towards him, due to October 7th and then everything that happened after. And then you got kind of a temporary rally around the flag effect in Israel, like, yeah, let's go murder some Palestinians, which is absolutely sickening. But Netanyahu needs some type of war to continue to keep putting off that trial. So he would love nothing more than the US to go back to war with Iran so he can delay that. And you've seen Trump trying to get him a pardon. Like, so they basically can, and that's what I'm afraid Israel's going to do. There's a lot of gullible people that think, oh, it's just a Netanyahu thing. They're going to, I could see them throwing Netanyahu in jail and saying, look, this is all Netanyahu's fault. He's a corrupt criminal who is using war to cling on to power. Don't worry, Naftali Bennett will be so much better, even though he said Turkey's the next Iran, and they're just going to try to wash all of Israel's genocide and crimes, put it on Netanyahu. And sadly, there are a lot of people out there who will buy that and think, oh, good, the big bad Netanyahu's gone and Israel's not evil anymore, which simply is not the case. But that's what I think they're going to try to do. They're going to make Netanyahu the scapegoat for all of their crimes. and we cannot allow that to happen
Yeah,
because it's a
yeah, I agree
systemic
that.
issue in their society. Like 80% of the Israeli Jews supported what happened in Gaza, so it's a much larger societal issue than simply Benjamin Netanyahu in that country.
True, true. Agree with that. Being said that point from the start, so I agree with you.
And
The
can I say
the
one?
just guys, some more breaking news. The breaking news is this: Kiev. I've just put a video up of Kiev after the Russian strikes. It is being battered, and multiple waves of Russian sorry, I'm just a bit tired. Multiple waves of Russian projectiles are still heading to Ukraine. So significant damage. The Yeah, so let's bring in the. Oh no, sorry guys. Also, there's a tweet in the nest, guys. I want you to follow that channel. It is golden. It's just blowing up thanks to your support and actually everyone on YouTube as well. We're getting so much support on there. We've already got 7,000 followers and we've only been running the channel for a few weeks. It's just really fast blowing up. So we're expecting that channel to be huge. So make sure you give it a follow. Tomorrow we've got so many huge guests on. It's unbelievable. Well, today we've got Lieutenant Karen Kowalski, I think her name is. That's going to be a really good interview to talk about the peace deal. I'm trying to get a Russian guest in. So if anybody knows any good guest and can link me for 2 a.m. And then, because last minute, I know David's trying for me as well. And tomorrow we've got Professor Morandi. So that the perfect person to have on about the peace deal. So we've got Professor Morandi, we've got Larry Johnson, and someone else. Well, we've got so many big guests tomorrow. Professor Morandi, Anthony Aguilar, Pepe Escobar on Monday. So we've got so many huge guests coming up. So make sure you're following that channel, give it the support, and watch it because that's the place to be. So let's go to the Forgiver. Go ahead, Forgiver.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to, what to think about all of this. It's really very fluid. I think the agreement is interesting. It's good that they're making progress on that front. As Beatrix said, I think it's important to bring some peace to the region. It's been battered, and if they can lift those sanctions, that would be really tremendous. I have family in Iran, and literally many of them have just passed away because they can't access basic penicillin. So that the sanctions are just so crippling. I don't think we can overstate that. I think Cyrus has really made that point. And I definitely echo that. On the other hand, it's also really disheartening to see that Israel is not going to change its ways. While this might stabilize, Iran on the one hand to an extent and might open up the strait, which will be good for global economic reasons, um, it's not going to really stop the situation in the West Bank or in South Lebanon. I think the Israelis, Naftali Bennett, I remember when he was first coming on the scene, I remember he was basically the worst of the worst because he's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a fanatic. He was born in the United States, but migrated to Israel and has always been really hardcore and is among the hardcore settler class there. Whereas remember, Bibi is an atheist, basically, who just kind of opportunistically uses the settlers for his own, survival, so that he doesn't go to jail. So it's really disheartening because I always kind of try to center Palestine, and don't ever want to forget what's happening there. And I'm really grateful to all of you for always bringing it back to that and reminding us that there were, additional strikes, that the West Bank is completely overridden and that South Lebanon is still under attack. So that's really painful. And I don't think that that's going to be changed by the deal. And domestically, as Andy said, this massive defeat is really, really devastating for many reasons. I think the Christian Zionist component of this can't be overstated. Like the Jewish Zionists are extremely sophisticated and very, very good and have co opted a lot of really well meaning Christian fundamentalists and also Christian fundamentalists themselves and evangelicals have fallen prey to this Christian Zionist nonsense. I also want to just I do put some blame on the Christian evangelical movement itself, but it's really despicable. So and so we have a lot of work to do on that side, you
For
know.
sure. Thanks for that. Just some more news, guys. The banter continues. The hilarity of the situation continues. Let me read the super chats because I keep forgetting. I feel so bad. Guys, if I forget to read super chats, you have to let me know because I feel so bad afterwards. It's just I'm so like I'm doing a million things at once and I have to forget. But I just want to thank Zaf with the super chat and then Zaf with the second super chat saying all of what Israel does is enabled and supported by the USA. Totally agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. Now, guys, the Zionists are so not happy with the deal. They're so upset with the deal that they've even got Beatrix's fellow countrymen to come out and attack him. And so Tommy Robinson has come out to attack.
Disavow.
Well, is he not from the same part of the country as you? Thank you. Okay.
He lived in Spain. I disavow any association with him. He's a criminal. He lives in Spain.
Yeah, and I heard he's your next door neighbor, but anyway, I don't know if that's true or not. It needs to be verified. So he wrote. Tommy Robinson wrote. So Tommy Robinson has found. Oh my God, this is crazy. Everyone's attacking Trump. Trump's lost. Oh my God, they're all so angry with him. So Trump wrote, he found a tweet of Donald Trump from 2020 and wrote, Iran had never won a war, but never lost a negotiation. This is from 3rd of January 2020, a post that Trump wrote. Trump wrote, Iran never won a war, but never lost a negotiation. Tommy Robinson quote tweeted that and wrote, until today. Damn. Anyway, Joe, go ahead, jump in.
Just a little off topic, but kind of what I'm expecting to see. Are you aware of what's going on in Bolivia? The Trump just
Oh
came out and
my God. Tommy Robinson's deleted his tweet now. Oh my God. That is hilarious. Hilarious. I need to do that Beatrix thing. Beatrix always take an image. Let me see if I can take the image of this. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, damn. Hope somebody did take a picture. Damn, he deleted it. Okay, anyway, go on, Joe.
Has he deleted it? Let me see if I can get it for you. Hold on.
I quote tweeted it, but can't get it. Go ahead, Joe.
Wait,
yeah,
did
I was just
Suleiman, did you
gonna
already
bring up the
announce?
thing on Bolivia.
Wait,
The
real
thing
quick
in
with the news. Did you already announce that Iran said that they're not opening the Strait of Hormuz?
Where did they say that?
Let me just send it to you in DM and you can look at it and see if this is what you've already seen.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, starting to see now, protests in Bolivia because the Bolivian president, basically, U.S. takes the resources from Bolivia, very much a deal like with Iran, very similar. And now the people are rising up against it. And guess who Donald Trump is supporting? The Bolivian president, of course, who in the past he's called a leftist lunatic. So it's kind of funny that now because of the oil and because of resources that he's supporting them. I really do suspect to see more of this, Suleiman. Like I keep saying, Mexico will open up the LNG, Argentina will. Now you're seeing problems in Bolivia. We're going to see problems with energy infrastructure in the West for sure. And people are going to get more and more fed up. And I don't expect Venezuela to hold for very long either, to be honest. But yeah, you're seeing like a ramping up of pressure, and you see it's all around energy for a reason. And by the way, who said they're not going to open the strait?
Yeah. So what? Sorry, I'm just sorting one of the guests out. Damn, I'm not having enough time for all this.
Apparently, it's Iran.
So
Manco's saying it's Iran.
who?
Manco said
Yeah,
Iran
yeah,
has said they're not
he's
opening the
right.
Strait of
He's
Hormuz.
basically quoting the Hormuz letter. What he's talking about is, which is right, Manco. So Trump in his tweet said, "Oh, guess what? The Hormuz is like completely opening," and then Iran said, "Wait a sec, you are removing your blockade. The Hormuz is gonna still be under our control, as in ships only pass through Iranian delegated routes. They need to get a permit. That thing's going to be entirely managed by Iran and Oman." And then they apparently, according to senior officials who spoke to Beatrix, who was it again? You said they spoke to. Anyway,
Iranian officials. That's they didn't name
no,
them.
but which paper said it?
Oh, it was Fars News Agency. I think. Let me
So
find
Fars
it.
said
I'll
that
tell you.
senior U.S. officials said to Iran that don't worry, don't really worry about what Trump says publicly. That's just for the Americans. But he's still going with the deal that we agreed. So that tweet's kind of for you, Mango, but not for the actual like real reality of what's going on. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So Fars said Iran also says no nuclear commitments were discussed, and claimed U.S. officials told them that Trump's posts are mainly for domestic media and politics. It's quite bad, really.
I'm telling you, they do not want that strait open. And I'm not talking about Iran. I'm talking about America doesn't.
I agree, Joan. I think this is a bit of a pantomime. You know what I mean? He's moving all his U.S. Navy out from the Persian Gulf and from the Arabian Peninsula, basically. So he's removing the American blockade. Iran's been quite consistent that we're keeping control, and it's going to be our procedures and our protocol that's going to manage the Strait of Hormuz. And I think it's going to be a stumbling block. I don't know what he's going to do. I actually think, right, even this thing that's happened at the White House, I'm thinking, was it a distraction tactic? So if he is conceding, because I think it's a good thing, right? I think if he's agreed this with Iran, if there's no war, it's going to be better. I just wish that they could do something about Gaza now and put a stop to that, because it's supposed to be a goddamn ceasefire, and they've done more than 3 massacres just today. But I think this ceasefire on Iran thing, or this memorandum of understanding, is a good thing. But then if he's feeling the heat, then maybe the whole White House circus. I just don't know. I just don't believe these things, the timing of them. And, timing is everything in politics. I just think there's something suspect going on. And maybe now everyone's talking about the event at the White House, and they're not talking about Iran anymore. I don't
Well,
know.
how do you have a deal where Israel has to stop striking Lebanon, but Israel's not part of the conversation? Right? It's like, as long as that's a clause in the deal, there's no deal. Right? Israel's not going to follow what America tells it to do. It never does. When Trump said, "Do not drop those bombs," you had hundreds of Israelis calling for the murder of Trump, which is funny because they almost all of them that got deleted. I made a video showing all the people calling for the death of Trump, and that gets banned constantly. But I keep putting it up every once in a while. So they don't listen to America. So as long as that's in there, there's no deal. Like, Israel's still going to attack Lebanon, and this is not going to end. That is the problem. So, it's a clause in there that stops this from stopping.
Yeah, I agree. But I want to welcome Simon. Simon's been away. He's missed all the false flags, all the assassination attempts, everything that's gone on for the last 2 days. The most dramatic, I don't know if it's even a climax, anticlimax to this whole 85 days, Simon. Welcome.
Hey Beatrix, hey everybody. Okay, what's been happening then? Assassination attempts, false flags that no one believes anymore. More theatre.
Did you hear the one about Ivanka Trump yesterday?
Yeah, I saw it pass the feed briefly. Like, I guess it gets as much attention as the so-called assassination attempt on Trump, right?
Yeah, but then we dug down into the roots of where that came, because New York Post actually was the source. Then you had all these MAGA influencers on here and Zionist influencers saying, "Oh, IRGC tried to take out Ivanka, bomb Iran now, annihilate it," and all of this. So then we quickly got to the source of where the New York Post got this story from, and it was some ex-attaché who they didn't even name.
sick kid in the family, namely the Israeli government, has to stop bombing everybody. And I do not believe that they're going to do that. And so, I think ultimately, either for it to be a deal, either Iran has to compromise by a lot for it to be a deal, or I do not see a deal happening. And I also don't see how Iran could compromise on the most important thing. And yes, Simon, what was your question?
No, I was just going to say that those is like typically you'd sign a letter of intent, then you sign the memo of understanding that goes through the points, and then you work on an actual full term sheet, and a term sheet would include you release this amount under sanctions, we open for this amount of shipments, and if this doesn't happen, then we continue and go to the next phase. And so you tier everything out in phases so that you set all the milestones of success, and
Right. Yeah. No, I
as
get that.
typical
I
thing.
get that. And I agree. But what I'm saying is that in that process of going to the next phase and the next phase and the next phase, Israel is not going to end its hostility, in the region. And it's going to everything to sabotage a deal. And that in that process of, okay, what's going to happen next and what the next phase is, that either parties can walk away and the hostilities can begin again, like maybe another 4 days of bombing and then a ceasefire and then another, whatever. So I don't know. I think that the Trump is incapable of signing a deal that can be secured, security guarantees, etc. And then let's not forget that the Gulf states have to agree that Iran would control the Strait of Hormuz. If that's not something Iran would compromise on, and I hope that that's not something that they would compromise on. And if I were Iran, the government of Iran, I do not want, and I would not allow the assets to be released, the frozen assets to be released gradually, but I would demand that it would be maybe in 2 payments within 2 months, to sign the act, to sign the next phase and the next phase, etc. Because I just don't trust. I just don't trust the U.S. government. And also, I understand that the nuclear negotiation would be the further phase of the negotiations. Do I see Iran agree to freeze enriching uranium for, like, let's say 10 years, 15 years? Yeah, but that would be a condition that would have in exchange of like a big compromise on the West or the US, meaning release all of our assets now, no sanctions. Anything else, I would feel would be unacceptable by the Iranian people inside of Iran. And then there has to be security guarantees and guarantees that everybody would uphold an agreement or the deal. So I don't know if that makes sense, Simon.
Yeah, I think all of those are solvable. Like, as in, like when these deals are signed, the assumption is there's no trust, and so what you typically do is you take all the things that where there's no trust and you tie them together. And so if someone's trying to if parties are trying to negotiate a deal, then everyone just says these are the bits where there's absolutely no trust. Here's the red lines, and then you just put in legal clauses to. There's always a way of dealing with situations of no trust. I do agree with you. I think that Gaza goes on a separate track and Lebanon goes on a separate track. I don't think you can. I don't think you can get all those deals together. I think it's just I think it's an agreement between US and Iran. And I personally believe that like when they need to control Israel, like US can control Israel. It's like um, the only time you get Israel going off track is when America wants to do it, but covertly, is how I think.
Yeah, just like the JCPOA, as soon as Trump became the president, canceled that agreement, and I'm not sure if they were security guarantees they were for that agreement or not. So
Yeah.
I guess the way is starting the interview.
Thanks for that, Dr. Tusa. Manko, is there anything you wanted to say? We have got Lieutenant Colonel Karen Zakwatsky coming on, so it's going to be a good interview. But go ahead, Manko, do you want to answer that?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm very skeptical that there will be a deal. I think that what Iran is saying about the deal cannot possibly be true or even close to true because the Trump administration would never agree to those terms. I think that Iran tells the Trump administration, like, oh, no, don't worry about it. We just have to say this to the public, but you know, this, don't worry about that. Which I think Iran said that Trump does, but they do it too. I do not believe that Trump will make any deal where Iran stays in control of the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think the Gulf countries would agree to that either. So the fact that Trump had this call where he got everyone, all these other countries together, I think the point of that call was to get maximum legitimacy for the US/Israeli bargaining position, mostly US, but I think Israel's also basically like behind it, to get them all to sign on to give it maximum legitimacy. And I think what's going to happen is all of the Trump positions, all of the deals and all of the negotiations have been secret on the US side. Like the US doesn't make press releases saying, these are the terms of the deals, this is our negotiating position. Iran does. I don't think Iran does that honestly, though. So I don't think we have actually seen the real terms from either side. However, Trump said, we're finally going to reveal the terms. So that reveal, I guess it hasn't happened yet. He said a few hours ago, like, we're going to reveal these terms at some point soon. I think he was getting everyone from all these other countries in the Gulf states and also some countries that aren't really, directly affected, like Turkey and Egypt, but they're still in the region, I guess, because he wants to maximize the legitimacy to say everyone agrees that these are the good terms. This is the final offer. And I think Iran's going to reject that. I think they're not going to agree to those terms.
Yeah, the only problem with what you're saying is it does seem like the Israelis and the Pahalvis have got the confirmation from Trump that this deal is going the way that is being reported, and this is why there's a mass campaign by them to attack him. So all the Israelis, big and small, even Tommy Robinson, all of them will come out and attack Trump, which seems to suggest that the deal isn't that way. Now, guys, if you're on the second YouTube channel, we are moving across to the Moral Resistance channel. So if you're on the Suleiman Ahmed X YouTube channel, we're moving across to the Moral Resistance channel. That channel is